Hello and welcome everyone to day one of Blue Talk's Amplify Your Message. I have so much fun with these because I get to enjoy an entire day with a guest co-host. And today my guest co-host is Shannon. You didn't put your last name up there, so that's okay. Please tell us just a little bit about you and where you're coming from so that as we have conversations with our guests to learn about how they amplify their message, why they've chosen those ways, and about the human beings behind the business, where are you coming from? What are your interests? What do you love?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Shannon Roberts, and I wear many hats. So I am a mom, I am an entrepreneur, I'm a nature lover, and a marathon runner. I am currently honored to be an export advisor for Indigenous businesses in the province of BC to help them grow their markets either domestically across Canada and internationally. And I'm co-owner of a tutoring and educational services business where we aim to be the gold standard in tutoring services, personalized services to help each learner achieve their full potential.
I love that. I had to mute myself because I'm actually living in a sunroom at my parents' place right now. And they put a tarp in front of my window so that the sun wouldn't make it 36 degrees in here, but it's kind of like wiggling around making noise. So if you hear it, please just let me know and I'll just mute myself in between. Our first guest today is Nicole Magik. I met her through Michael Whitehouse, who I met through a big live event that we had online during COVID. But Nicole has been one of those people where I just can't stop talking to her. You know how you find those people? I just love it. So, Nicole, I'm going to bring you up to stage. And we would love to hear it a little bit about you. But I love to make playful questions. One of my playful questions lately has been, what would be 3 words that you would love other people to use to describe you?
Ooh.
Yes.
All right. I'll play your game. Impactful, inspiring, and fun.
Impactful, inspiring, and fun, as I can't find a pen. So help me remember those, Shannon. Impactful, inspiring, and fun. Why would you say those words? Why are they so important to you?
Well, impactful and inspiring is that wonderful, transformational, serious side of really bringing people into their true power. And the fun part is you can't leave the fun out of any of that. So it takes all of that, and you've got to be able to tap into that fun side. So all of those things, that's how I love to live my life. And I like to bring other people into that space too, so that they can love their life.
Ooh, okay. So the name of the show is Amplify Your Message. And the whole point about this is that you, Nicole, are different than Shannon, and Shannon's different than me, and everybody's different than everybody. But we want to know, like, who is Nicole and why is it magical for Nicole to share her message and amplify it in the ways that you have chosen? So tell us a few of the different ways that you have chosen to amplify your message, and then we'll get into what your message actually is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ways in which I amplify my message are through the stories and experiences that I've had, because it's great if you can textbook everything, but practice and theory are 2 completely different things. So having real experience through moving through adversity, through staying extremely calm in very sometimes even terrifying instances, can be something that helps other people to really hold on to within themselves or find within themselves, because it's really important for people to understand that others like myself or you guys here, you have your own stories. We all have these stories that other people can relate to, and that then touches their heart to say, I'm not alone. and realize I really, truly am not alone, even though I feel very alone.
Ooh, I like that part. I had just talked about that on Monday Morning Mindfulness this morning. I was like, I'm feeling myself getting caught in those things that I'm teaching people. But the difference is that I don't fall as hard. I don't last as long. I'm not in that space of not even knowing that it's going on for long periods because I can catch it quicker. So I love that you brought up stories and how important those are. So let's get into your story, Nicole. First, tell us what it is that you do, just like a quick little gist of it, and then tell us like what is the story behind it, because there's always a story.
Yeah. Well, I help people move away from their limiting beliefs and to create new empowering beliefs that support their success and, bring them into that space of truly loving their life. Because we create our reality. And the story behind that is I used to be a chemist. I almost died from mercury poisoning. I've had a near-death experience. Actually, I've had several near-death experiences. And very transformational and amplified all of my intuitive gifts and healing abilities and all of this stuff that also helped me to bring people through that process, because there's mindset shifting that goes with it, but there's also a very intuitive aspect to being able to help people through that. Because if you're only relying on people to tell you where they're at, when their subconscious is taken over, it's lies and they don't even know it. So the intuitive side kicks in where I'm not so sure about that. And you can kind of dig around a little bit and find the root cause of what is truly upsetting their life.
I've noticed that every time I talk to a new client or speak at a new event or whatever it happens to be, there's always this layer of awareness that needs to happen in my own life too, which is why I love having those one-on-ones. And I know that you do too, Nicole. I've been in your workshops. I've been one-on-one with you, and it's totally different, because then instead of exactly what you said, seeing the world as you thought you saw it, you get to dig a little deeper and say, what is actually happening here? But that's uncomfortable, especially when we look inside of ourselves. So every time we do a course or we do one-on-ones, they're a little bit of a reflection of who we are. And so we're learning too. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's such a wonderful thing to watch somebody go through this process and be able to guide them through that process too, where they step in and they know that they're ready and they don't know what's coming. And then they trust and invest in themselves, right? Really is what it comes down to. They invest in themselves, not just money, it's time, it's energy, it's the love and, self-worth, or at least recognizing it enough to say, okay, I need help to get there. And then, like, for example, I just had a brand new client come in over the weekend, and one session in, and I get this love note saying, there was so much shame that was talked about in the session, like so much shame that she described herself pretty much as like a despicable, viable human being, like vile human being. And there's like so much love that comes out of me when people say something like that, because that's just a program that they're running. And once they actually see that that's not true, so much happens. And I got this love note saying, about an episode that happened later on that day. And she felt absolutely no shame, stood up for herself. And like, there was so many things that, I don't want to say exactly what it was for her, but it just filled my heart. And like, those are the things that I live for, is I do this work. And then I'm going to like get a little, you do this work, you help people transform, you get them into a space. And like, that first thing that happens is like the miracle that gifts to them to give to themselves over and over and over again. Because once you get into that space, like now she's like, oh my God, this really has transformed my life. One session. Like, what?
I know, it's craziness. And just as an FYI for people, it doesn't always happen in one session, but when you are committed to change and knowing that this isn't just a single decision, it's a constant redeciding, recommitting,
Yes.
things can change so quickly.
Yeah, it's a process, of
Yeah.
course. And right, it doesn't
Yes.
always happen in one session, but there's always that little shift, no
Yes.
matter how much. And the whole
Yes.
thing is a little shift becomes another little shift, a little shift, a little shift until you've got a big, huge breakthrough. And it's when you're ready, you're ready. When you're not, you're not. And that's it. You'll just stay where you are, and that's okay. You'll buy into this, that, the other thing. And, nothing works for you because you're not working for you. You're not ready. And that's okay. Wherever you are is okay until you're ready.
Hmm.
And then
I heard the phrase from Abraham Hicks, I'm committing to be ready to be ready.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? Because that really does change your mindset. Instead of it being that black and white of I'm 100% ready or I'm just not ready at all, now you're committing to the practicing of opening up to be ready.
Right.
It's like, oh, that feels easier. But then it's instead of all of that closed energy and the feeling and your thoughts and your habits and all of that, you can slowly open yourself up and practice what it feels like to be open and ready. And then when you
Yes.
are ready, it just, as you said, just kind of happens. Shannon,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull you into this for a moment. Has there ever been a part of your life or your business where you just hit this wall and then you had this aha moment that just opened some floodgates for you?
You're asking me that question about my
Yeah.
business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there have been several moments like that. The one example that comes to mind was a challenge in my volunteer life and not in my business life. And it goes back 20 years. And so I was challenged myself with running my first marathon. And I was raising money for the Arthritis Society. And believe it or not, it was more challenging to fundraise $6,000 than it was to train for the marathon. And so I was feeling like a bit defeated with how much I'd raised and unsure if I could do it. And the friend that I was training with and I had this brainstorming session out of our desperation and feeling defeated at the coffee shop, and decided we would create a healthy lifestyle workshop for youth on what we learned through the process. And so the four things we learned and the four values were the importance of believing in yourself, fitness, nutrition, and goal setting. And so we put this workshop together and we pitched it to some government programs, and they loved the program so much. We ran it. We achieved our fundraising goal. We ended up delivering the workshop, and it evolved into what is today called Northern Youth Leadership in an on-the-land camp for youth in the Northwest Territories.
Nice. So Nicole, you can see in her story too, and I'm going to ask you to just pull out some of those pieces for us about the mindset beforehand and just the shifts that have happened and how changing just the small little mindset pieces or stories that we tell ourselves can change so much.
Yeah.
What are your comments on that?
It's definitely, changing the mindset and shifting the words that you're using, right? It shifts the whole vibration of what you're creating. So it shifts the vibration that's within you to bring that out into the world. So that's why just reframing some of the things that you tend to say. Like sometimes people say, I'm sorry a lot for nothing, right?
Yeah.
Sorry is connected to shame. And if you're saying sorry, it's, I've met people where they say sorry to me for something. And it's like, you didn't step on my foot. You didn't accidentally elbow me in my noggin. Why are you saying sorry? Are you saying sorry for breathing? What is happening? So doing that shift, Shannon, and whatever it is that you're saying to yourself over and over again, and just shifting out, there's a vibrational change that happens, and then it starts to propagate that. So just like I'm going back to the sorry thing because somebody needs to hear it. When you're saying you're sorry for no reason, sorry is something that you accidentally did something that it was like, oh, I'm sorry, right? Stepping on a toe or slamming a door in somebody's face, that kind of thing is respectful to say sorry. But if you're saying, you're just talking and all those sorries come out for nothing, literally nothing. And I can't even pull an example because to me, I hear them and they just go away because I was like, why are you saying that? You didn't even, and then people will say sorry for saying sorry to me.
Are you talking to a lot of Canadians?
And when I hear that, if it's somebody that, I'm going to be around frequently, I usually tend to say, I'm going to take you right out of that habit because that is not a good habit. And it's connected to the shame. And so when people say sorry, I'll look at them and say, sorry for what? And then usually at first I'll get the, oh, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. And I'll be like, no, you don't have to be sorry. So just say, no, I'm not sorry. Correct it, right? Because it's just shifting it and acknowledging, sorry. Oh, wait, no, I'm not sorry. And then shift it into what it is that you really mean, right? And just say the thing, because usually it's just something where you say something that maybe they take as you might have taken something the wrong way, or maybe you might be upset. So they say sorry, and then they say their response. And just cut out the sorry and say the response.
I have been very guilty of all of that. Partly because I'm Canadian, partly because I was very mindful as a child of who I'm pissing off and what can happen if somebody is not happy. And so then the perfectionism comes in and just this whole spiral of a nastiness. So it may feel like it's something simple, but really there's that whole trench, that's the word I'm thinking of, behind it, this rut that we've created. So if you can get out of that rut. No, I have had the pleasure of watching you speak at different events and taking people through this circle exercise that you have. And even when I'm not the one participating with you, being your guinea pig, I still learn a lot because I get to watch. One of my favorite things is the faces of people. So you'll watch their face and their facial expression and their muscles and all of that before you work with them. And then as they're going through it, you start to see just the little muscle shifts and the energy shifts in them. And then watching their face afterwards, I wonder if you've ever asked them to take before and after selfies. It's like, here, we're just going to do a screenshot. Now, never going to do the thing. Screenshot again.
Right. I have not, but I do. I watch those, and that's part of the process is me watching for that stuff to make sure that it's integrating. And it's so fun to watch because especially when I get the skeptic who's like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then they're the one that has the biggest shift. And I remembered doing this on somebody asked me to speak on their like their network group. So they had like every month or whatever, they have a guest speaker. So they asked me to speak, and I did some things on, the 3 things that everyone needs to feel fulfilled in life. And then I did the empowerment circle. And the person that volunteered was like, all right, I'll do it. And was the biggest skeptic of the group, apparently, and took her through this thing. And I was watching some of the people on the thing, like watching too, because they were having their own expressions as to watching her go through it. And at the end, somebody outed her and was like, she's the biggest skeptic of all of us. And I can't believe the the massive shift in her countenance with doing this. And she's like, I can't believe that it worked.
Of course it does. So then I have so many conversations about the science behind the woo woo, and I do the air quotes on purpose. To me, woo woo is just, it's something that you don't understand yet. And I don't mean you specifically, Nicole. I mean like whoever says the word woo woo. It's just another layer of something that you don't understand yet. Right? So then, can you tell us a bit about why this type of work, where we do address limiting beliefs and mindset, why does it work so well? In your opinion and your experience?
Okay. So this is like a bomb of a question right now.
Chat
So,
GPT.
I might have to pick it apart just a little bit, because
Yeah.
yes, it can work extremely well. It'll work extremely well if you're ready for that. Okay. So if you are attached to victim mode, it's not going to work if you're but. And I've had people sit in my client seat and, yeah, but. And I just say, you know what? No buts. There's no yeah buts. Like, we're wiping that out. So I get very candid, because what you see is what you get. And I will always be 100% honest, transparent, candid with you, and I'll call you out on your stuff, because that's literally what everybody needs, is to be called out on their stuff in a gentle, loving, safe, and non-judgmental space. So that's what I do, is hold that space, because when we don't know what we're doing, you need an awareness. Awareness is that first step. So once you get into that space of acknowledging and then taking a step forward, that's where the magic starts to happen. So once you're ready for that, then it works extremely well. And it works well because our minds can easily shift, because it's all based on beliefs. If we debunk a belief and then say, okay, well, that's not true. Once we prove it's not true, then we can accept something that is different. And then you get to choose what you accept as different. So whatever that is that supports you in whatever is aligned for your success. So I really make sure that everything has this alignment to it. And that's what happens, is the mind will go. And then I also teach that the body follows after, because most people don't teach that. It's all about mindset shift and this and that. But when people have compounding and all these limiting beliefs that pile up on top of each other and play off of each other, even moving out of one, it disrupts patterns, and you start seeing things. And guess what? We hold all this stuff in these physical bodies, all those toxins have to come out. So, and that comes out by way of, you'll get a little bit more tired. So you might need a little bit more self-care in the form of taking a nap, or taking it easy, not taking on so much work, not pushing through, stop pushing through. And then there's also, sometimes it comes out in pains, because physical pains come out because we hold these things, especially if it's epigenetic programs that come from the ancestors. It might feel like you have hip pain, the fear of moving forward, or the resistance to moving forward. So the hip pain, so, well, why would I be picking up on that, Miss Laura? So,
It's so sore.
And so just, open that stuff up too. Do some exercises that might open up those hip flexors. That'll help to open that. And just being conscious about what your body is telling you what it needs, because that's going to nurture it to follow the mind. The mind shifts very fast. The body sometimes takes quite a bit longer. So people usually get into this space of they start doing the mindset shift, and then the body revolts, because guess what? Here's what happens. This is the short of it. Just like any kind of muscle memory, whether it's martial arts, military moves, whatever the case, you are doing things in order to be able to do them without thinking about them. You are committing them to subconscious, right? Same thing with your beliefs. They're committed to your subconscious. So when you shift one out, guess what happens? That muscle memory is still going in that pattern, even though your mind is creating a new pattern. So you have to physically get out of that old pattern, even though your mind is shifted. So all of you out there who have said, oh yeah, I made a commitment to do this, and you're all gung-ho, and in your mind everything is like, yes, I want to do this, I'm so excited to do this, I've got so much motivation in my mind, but my body is like, let's just sit on the couch. I don't want to get out of bed. Oh, I don't feel like it today. No, we can't do that. And it just does all this stuff. And then you go, oh yeah, plop. And then you sit there going, but I'm so excited to do this. Why can't I just do it? Why am I just... Give yourself some grace and process through that stuff that's in the body. And when you acknowledge it and allow it to move, sometimes you might need a little cry or whatever. Sometimes you might need to just stretch those muscles out, or eat something better, or pay attention, whatever the case is. Get a massage, work it out, drink some water, lots of water, and allow it to move out. And small, tiny shifts, please.
Wax on, wax off for all of my fellow nerds. It reminds me of this analogy that I love to share with people. I've always wanted to get on like a big stage and have 2 plastic bags. They would both have roses in them, but I would tell you stories about each one. One of the roses, I would say, it was in a pile of poop. Okay, this thing is stinky. I just picked it and I put it in the bag for your safekeeping.
Okay.
You don't want to smell it. The other rose is in the bag just to kind of match the first one, but it's a rose. I got the rose, I put it in the bag. Which one do you want to smell? And of course, people's bodies, like if I brought the bag, which I said was a poop rose, toward them, their physical body would react as if that was true.
Yeah.
But the truth behind everything, and after my little scenario, I would tell them they're the same roses from the same bush or florist or wherever I got them. Nothing was different except for the story that I told you and the belief that you created around it.
Uh-huh.
Right? And so that kind of shows people that if you believe something, your mind and body will react as if it's already true, whether it is or not.
Right.
So then how are you prepping yourself, and what kind of emotional stance are you creating before you even start something new, before you even try something, before you go in any sort of direction that you want to go? And Nicole, I'm just going to highlight you here. You're the one going, do you see the stance that you're in? Did you notice that story that you told yourself before you even started?
Yep.
I can help you notice those. I can help you rewrite those. So whether you started or not, you can act and proceed the way that you want to versus the way that your body defaults to, I guess is a good word.
Absolutely. Yes.
Maybe you should do it too. I'll give you 2 bags of roses.
Right.
Oh my God. I can think, I'm just double checking the time. Okay, we have about 10, 12 minutes. I can think of so many times, Nicole, where my stories, whether they were big or whether they were little, changed the way that I showed up in so many different ways. And the hip pain is mine. And the constant, not knowing if you want to move forward, taking the day off, mentally being ready, and yet physically being exhausted. That's all me.
Yeah.
And as you said earlier, I love being called out. But I love it because it is so rare for somebody to meet me where I am that I feel as though I'm hiding. And if I'm hiding and you can still see me, it means that you have not come down to my level. I'm trying to think of better words for this, but you can picture the subtleties unlike basically anybody else.
Yeah.
My dad always told me when you're deer hunting in the woods, you never look for a deer. You always look for the birds because it's those subtle movements that'll show you where the deer is. You're never going to see a full deer in the woods, or it's so rare, it's not worth trying.
Somebody special said to me, you know, people hide behind their curtains, right? And the curtains can be as thin as they are or as thick as they can be. They could be those big, thick, like, is it velour or whatever, that, you know, very, very thick. And you can hide behind those curtains, but, you know, when somebody peeks behind that curtain and sees you for who you are and puts a hand out and brings you out, walks you out behind that curtain and believes in you and lifts you up, that's everything.
As a part of the Blue Talks community, and we get opportunities to speak at Ivy League schools, and I had a chance almost exactly a year ago to speak at Harvard. I'm so excited. In my talk, I do use that analogy of hide and go seek in the woods and deer and that kind of stuff. But it speaks to that point of when somebody's hiding, it's the subtleties that help you find them. And I was telling people, I was like, okay, if we're in the woods and most of these clients who are not ready to see you, but they do need your help, they're hiding. Okay. They don't know any better, or they're actively choosing to hide. How do you identify them? Well, I said something that I have a joke with my family. I'm like, I can see your purple fuzzy Care Bear sticky toe socks. And people are like, wait, what? There is no way that I could know that much detail about somebody who has purple fuzzy Care Bear sticky toe socks. Okay. I've been seen. And so then in that instance, we have two choices: stay hidden, knowing that people know how to find us. So how safe and comfortable is that? Or move. It doesn't matter how far we move, but there's some sort of movement happening. And that's what you want, Nicole, is it's not necessarily, tell me if I'm right or not, but this is what I feel from you. It's not necessarily, you have to come work with me, I'm the best thing ever, which you're totally awesome. It's, I just need you to do something. And if that's with me, amazing. I would love to have you, but just get moving.
Yeah, there's so much. I put a lot of different things out there. Like I even have a free, on my YouTube channel, a Heal Your Inner Child session that I walk you through. So I talk about what it is, and then I do a session, which has it's like an NLP guided meditation session. And then on the back end, I talk about, what to watch for next, because I had so many people coming to me and they have so much inner child work that needs to be done. And we all have inner child work to do, right? So nobody is exempt from doing inner child work. Okay. We get these beliefs from when we are very young children. So I put this out there because it's like, if I can help somebody just do that little shift, because it's so scary for them, and here's something that they can do in their own space, in their own time, and shift that, whether it's some shame or abandonment or whatever it is that they want to focus on during that session, shift through that. I've had so many messages back saying how awesome that was and how profound and how transformative and all the things. And it's like, that was the reason why I did it. It's just get that out there so people can use it. And I actually use it in follow-ups to some of my sessions, because when I identify certain things, I like to do the work one-on-one with you, in the sense of, the stuff that you actually need me for, which is the subconscious stuff. And I tackle things from all angles. So I will give you techniques and tools and things that you can use to tackle it from the other angle, from your more conscious self. Because don't pay me to do something that you can do. Pay me to do the stuff that you need another person for. And whether it's me or someone else. But if I can help you shift to see something so that you can be aligned to figure out what exactly do you need, that's everything for me.
I love that so much. I've used the analogy of I can't massage my own back.
Right.
I can't see my own tattoo. And I have like a huge tattoo on my back. I can't see it. I need to get a mirror. Like I need help for that stuff. And it doesn't matter like how well of a massage therapist I could be. I still cannot massage my own back. And it doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, how good of a designer you are. There are spots within our own understanding and expertise that we need external help with.
Absolutely.
Healing is not all DIY.
Right? Nobody is exempt. You got to figure out what you need.
So I love that your branding also has magic in it, and you have like this hat that you wear and it's all kind of like mystical, magical because your last name is Magik. But yes. Can you tell us a little bit about the magic of you and how, like, what is it that you feel is magical about you that makes you do your work even better? And being a nerd, of course, that's part of it. But
yeah, being a nerd. Well, I was a chemist for over 16 years. I'm very much, I've always been intuitive and seen energy, aura, spirits, that kind of stuff. I had my near-death experience and I amplified everything. So I just see things that people don't see. I've also, because I've seen things on the other side, from that energy perspective, there's a very complex download that happens when you go out there to the other side, that you understand things here that's very difficult to describe. There's a lot of ineffable things. So understanding it at a different level and then being able to integrate that with the work that I do with people and tackling from various angles, it's like everything that compounds on top of each other makes everything work and permanently work. And I also have, quote unquote, the golden brain where I operate from right in the middle. So I see things from an analytical and an empathic point of view at the same time. So I can deal with a lot of different personalities, people, and see what it is that you need and how to talk to somebody in the ways in which they can understand things. So it's not trying to cram something down your throat. It's basically, feeding you a nice spoonful of honey instead.
Warm honey.
Mm.
It's like there's nothing. It's just delicious. Nicole, we have a couple minutes left. I want to make sure that people have something that they can really take away. So out of our conversation today, there's lots more spaces that we could go. I totally want to, but I don't have time. If there was one thing that you just needed people to take away from this conversation, what would that be?
I'm going to say, taking away from this conversation, if you can just take a look at your life, and if you feel like your life is not 100% fulfilled, satisfied in your life, then take a look at what it is that you're lacking, and then look at what it is that you want. Because a lot of times people can go into the negative very easily, but turn it around into what it is that you want. Start defining your desire, because that is what's going to bring you towards that desire instead of focusing on, the other side of things. And it's a lot more complex than you think, defining that desire. But once you start, if you just keep going back to it and ask yourself, how can I get more specific? that will help. And you'll start seeing the shifts each day.
I love the shifts. Every time I do mindset work, it just changes so much, so much. So Nicole, how do we find you, and what is your favorite place for us to get connected with you?
Ooh, you can find me all over the place. I've got a YouTube channel, and that's Magik LLC Official. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. Where else? I'm on Instagram, not as much as Facebook. And you can find me at magikllc.com or nicolemagik.com. And of course, that's spelled Majik.
And what is your favorite way for us to contact you? Like, are you more of a Facebook girl, or are you more of a TikTok girl, or what's going on?
Facebook is great, or through email. Yep.
Yeah, I always ask that because a lot of people try to connect with me through email. I'm like, I am not an email person. It's probably the worst way to connect with me. So then, if there was one thing that you could tell us before we go, what would that be? Do you have any comments?
Oof. I'm going to say one thing to tell you before we go is really everything starts within you. So if you feel like things are happening around you, if you feel like, you're kind of getting down, I've been there where, I thought about death all day, every day for a period of time, and things happen and it shifts very quickly. So if you are one of those people that is having a hard time hanging on, just think this, because this is how I got through until my big shift happened. And if you can just tell yourself, just hang on just a little bit longer, and just keep saying that just a little bit longer, and that things are going to be okay. And how great can it get moving into a space of those little tiny shifts over a period of time? You're going to see that it becomes much more easy, and look for ways that you can grab some help from anyone, really, even if it's just a smile.
I love that. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. It was always a delight, and it's been a little while since I talked to you, so I was like, oh, I get a chance. Yes.
Yay.
Glad this worked out. I will wish you a wonderful day, and I will chat with you later.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Susan, I'm going to pick on you a little bit more because I'm a very curious person. I will ask all of the questions all of the time, so feel free to jump in anytime you want and ask as many questions as you want. So if there's ever a time where you ask all the questions, I'm okay with that, just so you know.
Okay. I wanted to jump in and ask some questions, but I didn't want to interrupt. So.
Oh, no, please interrupt.
Okay.
I will always ask questions. There's always something there.
Okay. So. Okay. Yeah, because she was talking about her 3 values, like around impactful, inspiring, fun, and I wanted to dig into some of the others.
Yeah.
But that's good to know. Okay, so I will.
Yeah. I will always default to the co-host because I will fill in any second.
Okay.
Plus, our next guest, Susan, I had a lovely time interviewing her a couple times already, and we could chat forever. So I'm going to pick on you a little and say, hey, Shannon, do you want to interview our next guest? And I will just kind of sit in the background, change my tarp.
I don't know about
just,
taking
it'll
the
only
lead
take
on
me
question
like
to
30
question.
seconds.
I'll jump in for this next one.
It'll take me about 30 seconds to go fix that, and that's about it.
Okay, maybe don't offer that.
I won't leave you forever, I promise.
Okay, I just don't know how to start it off, but I can jump in.
It's all good. Okay, Susan, I'm going to bring you to the stream. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Awesome. Welcome again, Susan. I will preface this conversation by saying Susan and I can and have talked for hours on end very easily. And that Are you still in the middle of your, I want to say cross country tour, but it's not quite cross country.
I am in the middle of my cross country, by country, cross province, cross state tour. Yeah, let's call it that, because it was a vacation with a little bit of work, and then it's turned into a lot of work with a little bit of vacation, and it's lots of fun.
It is lots of fun. Okay. We'll start with the same question, and I know you've answered this before, but it'll be fun for Shannon. So if there were 3 words that you would love people to describe you as, and I'm hoping that there might be shifts because of all of the self-discovery over the last couple months, what would you love those 3 words to be?
Spontaneous, authentic, heartfelt.
Those are good ones. Spontaneous, authentic, and heartfelt. Now, I can tell you right now that those words have changed.
They have, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, can you tell us about why they changed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been on this journey, I want to say at home in my little bubble, where we get comfortable, and have an office in my home. And I was sick a year ago, and we all, with COVID and everything, and we all got comfortable in our little bubbles. And so to move outside of that zone, for an afternoon or for a couple of days is one thing, but to do it for a month, it's officially a month since I left my house, and it'll be another month before I get back. And so the spontaneous is really doing things on the fly in the environment that you're in the weather that you're in the time frame that you're in the space that you're in internally. And so I have really been doing things spontaneously, less planned, but more perfect. So that's spontaneous, is where that's come from. Heartfelt, of course, I do everything from my heart. I speak from my heart. I teach from my heart. I love from my heart. I connect with my heart through story. And so heartfelt is there. And then the other one, being authentic, is something that I've noticed, I want to say authentic because there are so many people who know Susan Binney, and they know that I don't put on a show. I don't put on an act. I don't put on this face of, yes, I'm an international best-selling author. Yes, I'm an international coach, speaker, mentor. But it's because I've been those things, and I've done those things, and I've helped those people. And I'm a struggling entrepreneur like everybody else, but I'm making my ends meet. I'm making my life work, and I'm happy. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that or make that look any less transparent than it is. So truly authentic is what you get. Yeah.
Susan, I love hearing about your 3 words and your self-awareness and your shifts. I'm just wondering if you had, are these words that you're using aligned with your superpower? I'm someone who's fascinated by uncovering strengths and nurturing them, but what would you say your strengths and talents are?
Yeah. So, and hi, Shannon. I don't think we've met before. Good for you for jumping in. I was like, if Laura doesn't let you jump in, I'm going to cut Laura off and let you jump in. So I want to say it does totally align with me because, the spontaneous and the authentic, definitely are 2. I mean, authentic is not really a new word, but it's kind of a new one I've thrown in. But the spontaneous, for sure. I go to an event and I might be very well prepared, right? Because I do help people with their story. And for example, let's just throw Blue Talks in the works. I'm prepared. I know what I'm going to say. I know what my teaching points are, but I jump in with who's ever in the room, the energy of the room, and I'm very spontaneous in the moment. And so that's definitely aligned with the work that I do as well, because I help women tell story, and I help them tell story not only to the world but to themselves. And it's changing and working all the time, looking at, okay, what's happening for you right now? And someone might say, well, for me right now, I'm in this space in my life where there's so much chaos and all my children and my husband, and how do I get all this in? And I'm sitting there going, okay, my life is now without children every day and without the crazy and without the, but I've been there. And so I just go right back to it and think about and live that spontaneous moment to help them out. So definitely that, that authentic, spontaneous moment, and those words are totally there, right? And on the flip side of that, a good friend of mine, Kim, invited me out to her cabin, which is where I am right now. I'm looking at a beautiful lake in the woods, trees, lake, boat. It's wonderful. But I didn't know what to expect because I've seen pictures, but I never didn't see, is it really rustic? Is there running water? Is there electricity? I don't know, right? So I basically just said, I'm authentically in with whatever you got going on. And I woke up the first morning not having any idea what I was going to do, right? And her mom, who was here, said, did we decide when we're having pancakes? I'm like, we're having them right now. We're doing it right now. And so I whipped up pancakes and got some bacon out of my thing and whipped those up. And it was just such a spontaneous thing. And it just was the start to our day. And it was just beautiful. So in work and in life, I think those words are very aligned with, all my superpowers. Question 2.
Sorry, I was like, where is my button again? A little bit of a blurb. I have light in here and it's not shaking everywhere. Great. Oh, there we go. I was going to ask you where you are because I know that this whole trip has been out of your comfort zone in a few different ways, but I've noticed that you've been embracing, not just allowing, but embracing this shift, this change, and the spontaneity of it all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much you want to share about why that started, but I would love to know how your mindset has shifted from even 2 years ago. I think was the first time that I met you, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. And I could take it back to sort of that 2 years ago, but I think I'm going to start with teaching out of a tent. Okay. So I started this vacation with, I want to get away. My husband's always wanted to travel. He's wanted to camp across Canada. I heard camp across Canada, expense across Canada. I'm like, let's do it in a tent. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Camping is fun, but not one night here, one night there, one night there. When you're setting up a tent, okay, after driving for 5 hours, you're setting up a tent in a strange place. You're hoping to have solid ground. You're hoping that your air mattress isn't going to pop. But actually, no, I'm going to have to go back. So 2 years ago, things in my business were kind of up and down, and I just got it figured out. Okay, it just got everything figured out. We were in the midst of COVID. I was getting clients. I just figured everything out. And then I got this year and a half ago, I started not feeling well. And I had this kidney stone and it blocked my kidney. And I got this wake up call, basically, in the hospital when the doctors said, you might not wake up. And you might not be able to say I love you to anybody in your life. He didn't say that, but that's what I felt internally. That was the story playing out, right? And when I got out of there and everything was great and everything's wonderful and my health is perfect now, I know what's going on with every part of my body now. And that's half the battle, right? Once we know what we're dealing with, we can deal with anything. And so I thought we could wait until next year when I've maybe more equipped and maybe we could rent a trailer, maybe we could buy a trailer, maybe we could, sleep above ground, maybe we could do all that. But life waits for no one. And my life and my husband's life, I mean, I'm 56, he's 62. We're not getting any younger, right? And so I'm like, I'm not as physically fit as I should be because, I had some recovery and I'm on the couch and whatever. But I got to do it now. I got to jump in now. We got to do this now. Means I have to step out of my social zone and, the whole COVID thing, my social zone got freaked out, much like a lot of people. But we got to do this now. So I decided we were going to get a tent for our SUV, and we're going to sleep in the SUV, and we're going to get a mattress, and it was going to go in the SUV, and everything was great. And seats didn't fold down, and we slid, had to get a new, had to fly, right? Like had to do all the stuff on the fly. And within a 48-hour window, our tent on the back of the SUV turned into a tent separate from the SUV with a 20-inch mattress, a carrier for the top because I got everything in. I forgot about my clothes. Where are they going to go? To wait a minute. I think I've scheduled a teaching session where I'm actually doing a teaching on somebody else's academy around story. And I'm going to be camping that day. So as long as I have Wi-Fi, I'm good, right? So I line up Wi-Fi. And then this is the best possible part of this story, okay? And this is the whole transition and spontaneity is I got to have Wi-Fi in my campground. Yep, Wi-Fi is great. I'm reading all the reviews of this campground. You know, it's in International Falls. It's like in the States. It's a great place. It's actually, it was in Ontario. It's right kind of on the border. And I'm like, okay, International Falls. I'm going to set up my tent. They've got Wi-Fi. I'm going to go to their office. I'm going to make sure that I can do that from outside. Everything's good. Day before, I start worrying because the Wi-Fi is really good at the office, but not really good anywhere else. So I got to set myself up outside of this guy's house in his little Quonset area. Okay, it's outside. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then I'm like, oh, my glasses are transition and they turn into sunglasses. I can't do it in sunglasses, right? So you're getting a little bit of that haze right now because I'm facing the sun, but I can't do it in sunglasses. Oh. Okay, I'm going to do it from my campground. I got LGE, I've got LTE, whatever. I got 4G, I got 5G. I don't know what I got, but it's not Wi-Fi. But it's sparse, but I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it inside the tent so my glasses don't. Okay, so here we are inside a tent. It's very muggy. It's very humid. I don't have a lot of light. I don't have a lot of flow. I put my artificial background behind me. And if you didn't know, I was in a tent. You wouldn't have known I was in a tent. And I jumped in, I showed up, I was on point, and I'm like, it really is true. And I did know this before, but it really is true. You can work from anywhere as long as you have a laptop. Or in this case today, I didn't bring my laptop to the lake, and this was kind of a last minute thing. And so I'm doing this from a phone. So as long as you have a phone with good camera and a good volume, you can do your work, your job, your interviews, your life anywhere in the world. And it's helped me realize that if you think you can and you know you can, you will. And that's part of what I teach.
I think I did that last summer when I was at mom and dad's. Is I was living in a tent outside and I had meetings, but I couldn't always take them inside. And so I did a couple of them from my tent. Right now, I'm just going to shut off because I am using a background, as you can tell. I am literally in a sunroom with like a curtain over the door, like just a mess everywhere. But I wasn't sure if you could even see me. So I made sure to use a green screen and have fun. But this is the authentic side of things. This is the spontaneity. And usually it gets 36 degrees in here, Celsius. I think it even made it to 37 one day, which is dangerous for my laptop. So I'm like, I need the windows open. I had the big fan going. I had like the great big fan was sitting on a box of kitty litter in front of my door just to get air in here. The things that we do to make things work in the moment. And I know, Susan, that you were a part of this in the past where we had lost power. My phone was almost dead. My laptop wasn't working. My laptop broke. Somebody didn't have sound. Somebody couldn't hear us, but we could type. So many things have gone wrong or awkwardly in just the Blue Talks.
Yeah, and I want to jump into that for a sec because I don't have a notepad and I can't write things down right at the moment. But I love what you just said.
Yep.
Things we do to make it work in the moment.
Yep.
And that's a huge message. That's a huge message for everybody that's watching this. That's a huge message in anyone in my circle. We do whatever we have to do to make it work. And that's life. That's the moment. Because we cannot control the weather. We cannot control our environment. We cannot control anything outside of who we are, what we do, and how we respond. And that's such a huge, important message, right?
Especially the random crows that hit power lines or the raccoons that decide that things are food, all of these weird things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we make it work as best as we can in every moment. And coming back to kind of what Nicole was saying beforehand, we do have these limiting beliefs that think, well, I'm just stuck.
Yes.
No. Those are the opportunities, which is difficult to think of in the moment when you're feeling crazy and chaotic. These are the moments that remind me that I have power. These are the moments that remind me that my openness is my source of resources, right? All of these moments of struggle are opportunities to catapult forward.
Yes.
I like the image of the catapult just because I made one when I was younger. So I think back to all of the cool things that I did. So Susan, how does this experience on the road right now help you to bring out and like tease out those stories that you work with people on?
It's helping me bring out stories that I forgot about myself. It's helping me bring out the depth of who I am. And it's also helping me connect. I said earlier, it's a vacation that had a little bit of work. Well, the little bit of work has turned into 2 new clients. How does that happen when you're away? Like, it's because you're putting your energy out and people are just, feeling it and it's coming in. And knowing that my clients are as flexible with me as I can be with them has made me truly know. I don't know if you can hear the horn in the background. Meh, meh, right? Another thing. Like, really, Susan? But that was the universe's way of saying this is something you really need to hear. And what I really need to hear is that I know one of the things about every client I work with, they need to be flexible because their life is going to get in the way. My life is going to get in the way. Life is going to get in the way. Right. And I was sitting you asked me a little while ago where I was, and right now I'm in Ghost Lake, Wisconsin. Beautiful. Beautiful. And 4, 5, maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't know, time and space are kind of gone for me. 2.5 weeks ago, I was in Ashland. And Ashland is right on the bottom of Lake Superior. If you're looking at it on a map, it's on the bottom in Wisconsin or in Michigan. Ashland, Michigan, Wisconsin, one of the two. It's on the border. And I was on the beach and I was sitting there and I had a discovery call with somebody and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just go get in the car to block out some of this stuff. And I got on the call with her and she started talking to me about, speaking from stage and being an international speaker and being connected with water. And I said, I have to close my eyes and I have to tell you what I'm looking at right now. She goes, you're going to close your eyes and tell me what I'm looking at. I said, I'm going to close my eyes and tell you what I'm looking at. She goes, okay. I closed my eyes and I had this vision of her on this like platform, mountain-ish top at the back of the lake I was at. And the lake was the same, but there was no mountain. And I saw this mountain and I saw her talking from it. And I saw the level and the like she's rising to a different level. And she said, Susan, that's beautiful. And I said, well, yeah, I hope you enjoy it because it's going to be your life. It's what you're going to be, right? And so the inspiration of where I was and the moment of what I was seeing just took everything to that next level. And to me, it was exactly where I was supposed to be in that moment to help her understand the story of what her life was going to turn into and how her speaking was going to elevate her to that next platform. And I didn't see her speaking from a stage. She will be speaking from a stage, but I didn't see it. Right. Now we got the chipmunks going in the background. I love this place. But it was just so beautiful for her to hear. And then she said, you know, Susan, the fact that you're on the lake right now reminds me of a time. And lo and behold, it's going to be part of the story. She speaks from stage. So I absolutely worked in to what it was supposed to be, because we are always where we are supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. Right?
Susan, I would love to just, I don't want to cut you off, but pardon me, I would love to just jump in. I've only just met you, and my feeling is that you're just so incredibly relatable. I love your authenticity and that you're living more in the moment and being so spontaneous. And I'm curious, who inspires you?
Wow.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
You're going to make me cry. God, the world, the birds, the trees, nature, good friends, family. And I'm so glad you asked me that question, because if you had asked me that and I was at home, I would have said Oprah Winfrey. Ellen DeGeneres, right? And it's just a different time and space for me. It's the universe, and how grateful I am that I'm in this time and this space is what truly inspires me to move to new heights.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So who inspires you, Shannon? Or what? What inspires you?
You know, I related to your response, Susan, with feeling inspired by nature. Absolutely. And I'm finding I'm actually fairly easily inspired. I'm inspired by so many of the people in my life and their strength and resilience and passions. And so, yeah, I kind of approach the world. I love building new connections with people, and it's never enough. And so I sort of view the entire world as future potential friends, all of the strangers in the world. And so I'm always wanting to make new connections and build synergies with people that I know, and who can help who, and how can my friends how can we stretch the circle wider and include more people? So that inspires me.
I love that. Thank you for asking that question of Shannon, because I love that. I was going to ask about your background, like your actual background.
Like heritage wise.
No, like your actual background. But now I just want to know all about your heritage, because because of your answer, right? And it's so interesting how something simple like that. And this is something else about, you know, I teach and I help people understand about their stories, is that something so simple in a response that you might give is going to trigger something else in someone else, which is going to open up your whole world. And sometimes we think our story is so limited and we don't have anything to say, and we're not, you know, the introverts out there in the world. I'm one of them. I used to be one of them. The introverts out there in the world who, you know, one little thing is sparked in them, and then they can talk about so much, because every memory we have, right? Everything we've experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like part of this, like wanting to stretch the circle wider and meet new people, is also like the aspect of diversity and the richness that brings, like learning about people who are different and celebrating strengths and differences. I was an exchange student early on in life, and I lived in Brazil for a year and learned Portuguese. The family I lived with didn't speak English, and I've always spoken English at home, but learned French at school. And so, and I work with Indigenous communities, and so I know I'm in the right place because I'm always curious and sensitive to different cultures and traditions and perspectives, and I can't get enough of it.
Love it. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, who's interviewing who here? Um, right, because I love that so much. Like I just want to know so much more about you. But I love the way, again, I've asked something simple of you, and then you've told us the story. And this is one of my gifts. I have this ability to help people open up their world, open up their stories, open up their gifts to share to the rest of the world. And yeah, that's beautiful.
And is there an ideal client that you would say you attract?
Yeah, and I'm redefining my ideal client even more so, right? I'm digging in even deeper. And this experience that I've been on, this experience I created for myself is so beautiful. And I want to work with women who want to create this experience that they want to enjoy. I want to help them create this story that they want to live. I want to help them create the story so that they can connect. And it doesn't matter. Are you connecting with your loved ones? Are you connecting with past loved ones? Are you connecting with, I've never shared that before. But I can do that too. Are you, connecting with people on a stage? Are you connecting with your clients?
Self.
And I was going to say, or the best for last, are you connecting with yourself? Right?
Yes.
And what is that story that needs to be pulled out to help
Mm.
that? So it's about redefining that in, but I don't know, 2 sentences. And I'm not totally there yet, because I have helped so many people with so many things, right? The mindset, the empowerment, the story, but I think it all goes down to women between the age of 20 and 50 who 20 and 70, every woman on the planet, no, 20 and 70, who want to have a life that they don't currently have. Help them go from where they are to where they want to be. And what does that look like, right? It's very easy, and Laura's heard me say this before, but it's very easy to take a mathematical figure and work it backwards, right? If you want $1 million in 10 years, well, then you can do the math. You can figure that out, right? $10 million, 10 years, $1 million a year, right? How much a month, how much a day, how much a second? What do you need to do to generate that? But when you look at, I want my life to be on a beach in a nice environment with warm weather and being comfortable and being this and being that. How do you make that happen? And so it's about helping people live that story and create that experience and work that backwards so that they can actually have it and be that.
And you mentioned that you're an author, a best-selling author. What are your books?
So I have a chapter in, so far they're anthologies, so they're chapters in different books. The first one was Change Maker, Inspirational Stories That Change Lives.
Oh.
The second one was Heal, and it was all about the healing nature of who we are. And then I've been in Blue Talks in a couple of those books, 2 that are coming out very soon with Joe Vitale and Marie Diamond. I've written a chapter in both of those. And I have one coming up that I will be writing with Neil Donald Walsh. I always get that mixed up.
Hit Neil Donald Walsh.
Yeah. Letters to God. Because I think the story that's coming out, I actually have to write it by the end of the month here. And I think the story that's coming out of me is just being grateful to God for all that He's provided me in the last 2 months. And I've got a book coming out in me. So my next book, I've vowed that I will not write another chapter in another book. I am going to write a book, a Susan Binney book. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Now, isn't the Marie Diamond and the Joe Vitale book, did they just launch on Thursday?
Friday we had a book launch going on. Yeah. And that's still available. I can throw the link in afterwards if anyone needs that.
I was like, if
I
we
would
can
love
help
that.
you right now to get #1 bestseller, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's a link that I can't access it right now because I'm on
Just
my
do it
phone,
later. Yeah.
but I'll put it in later. And anyone who hasn't purchased their books, there's actually an opportunity right now to purchase both books.
Oh.
So if you buy one book, it's $20. If you buy both on the special link, it's 25. So,
Oh, nice.
right, you get double me, you get double them, and you get a book for basically $5, right? So why not do it?
Yeah. Oh, that would be great for gifting too. I love when there's deals like that. When we
Absolutely.
were doing author training, I can't remember who it was. My apologies. Somebody had mentioned that they did a buy one, gift one. I
Yeah.
loved that idea. I
Yeah.
was like, wait. So then you're basically buying 2 books for the price of one. And the idea is to gift the second one to somebody. Ooh, then you can help spread the ideas and the words and all the love that goes with it.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what else are you working on, Susan? I know that you're still on working vacation at the moment, but what would be crazy cool for Susan Binney to do in the next, I don't know, 12 months?
Well, TEDx.
Ooh, really?
I'm going to step into the TEDx space, and I believe I'm going to be doing like a part of a live challenge where I'm going to actually be applying for a TEDx spot in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Quickly. Okay.
Yeah. And after that, I've really thought about, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I've really thought about the interviewing space. I don't know about a podcast, but I think that I'm going to in part resurrect my Powerful Women Unite community. And I'm going to be connecting women so that they have more power and they feel more powerfully connected to themselves and others. And I believe I'm going to be doing interviews on that platform just to help people get their stories out there even more. So that's going to be up and coming, and that's new. I really just feel that, this figure out what you truly love to do and figure out how to get paid for it. And I truly love to talk. And so
Me
I got to
too.
do what I got to do whatever I can, to put myself out there and get paid for it. So, yeah, I'm also going to be looking at speaking. I believe with this whole travel, my husband's enjoying it. We're looking at doing London, England. We're looking at doing Hawaii. We're looking at doing Sweden. We're looking at doing a lot of different places. And so becoming that international speaker from stage and getting paid to speak from stage just makes sense within my life.
So Edmonton next summer for that mental health conference that I want
Yes,
to do.
absolutely.
I haven't done any planning because it's just chaos with moving. I'm going to be moving 4 times in 4 months. The next move is in 3 weeks.
Right.
So when that's all over, I'm going to start planning the Edmonton thing. You're on for that one?
I'm on for Edmonton. Yeah. And when you said next year, Edmonton, I'm like, end of the month, I'm emceeing Edmonton, the Blue Talks events. And I'm emceeing the Calgary event. So that's a new thing for me too. So just really taking all this opportunity. But yeah, next year in Edmonton for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. You'll have to secure some dates so that I'm actually home, because my husband's best friend, who we met in Niagara Falls and he toured us around, he's the 3 of us are going to rent a motorhome and we're going to do the Maritimes next summer.
Oh yes, you're going to come visit me.
Yeah.
I will have a house by then and you can even stay in my yard.
Yay. Awesome. And if the motorhome doesn't, we'll be putting a tent in your backyard. So.
Oh, it'll fit. No worries. If everything goes through, we're just waiting for that. Oh,
I hear you.
Okay, I'm just gonna double check the time. We have about 8 minutes left, so I want to get into a bit about why you help people with their stories. I know that you and I had a conversation, but of course, that's not my story to tell. That's yours.
Yeah.
Why is it that helping people to share their voice is so important to you?
Yeah. So it started, when I was a very young girl, it started for me because I like to talk and I wanted to make sure that people were a part of my world. And it became, Susan, you're just talking for the sake of talking. What the heck? Right? And I think that there are people out there that want to be heard and need to be heard. but it's about what's the point of being heard? What's the outcome you're hoping for? So when you're getting out there, it's why are you speaking? Which takes me to an event that I was at years ago. And there was women that had a 15-minute speaking spot, and there were several women speaking the day, and I was just a guest in the audience. And people would come to the stage and tell me about the weather and their husbands' names and their dogs' names and what they had for dinner and what they were driving I was like, what just happened? Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do that? And how can you help me? And if you're on a stage and you're trying to get that across, you're talking about the weather, you need to come and talk to Susan Binney, because I wanted to see these women elevate and tell their story and speak their voice and be heard and go to that next level of their life and their business. But by saying, hey, isn't it great weather out there? And well, people just drove in. They drove in their car. You drove in your car. They know what the weather is. Um, don't tell them your husband's name unless it's important in the work that you do and you remember names for a living. I don't know. But be on point. You've got 15 minutes in front of people. And if your story can change the life of one person in that audience, you should be telling that story. And why are you telling that? How are you helping others? So that's really why I got into it, because I'm like, these people need to understand that their story is powerful. And if they can stand in the power of that story and help others see how that standing in theirs helped them move and create that life they want, and how an audience member can go, oh, I now know who I need to communicate with, and I now know what story I need to tell. That's the point of it all, right? So that's why I do it. That's what got me into it. That's why I keep doing it.
We had talked about our clients or ideal clients hiding, and this whole idea of, I can see your purple fuzzy Care Bear sticky toe socks.
Yeah.
Just as a way that says, this is so specific and so niche that there is no way that I didn't see you. Okay. So now when you're on that stage, the idea is to have that kind of scenario. I see you so clearly in your subtleties that it doesn't matter how much you were hiding, you are seen.
Yes.
How can you do that in 15 minutes? That's where Susan comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and this is something that I'm going to give this out free to everybody just for a second.
Sure.
7% of what we say, people remember. 7%. 23% of what we do, and 70% of what they experience. So make sure people have a great experience. If they can only capture you for 15 minutes, make sure when you walk away, exactly like Laura says, they remember you and go, oh, how does she do that? I need to talk to her more, right?
Yeah.
So tell a story that's going to make people go, how does she do that? I know it sounds simple, but it can be simple. But yeah, you got to jump on a call with me and figure that out. Right?
Susan, I'd love to hear more about your Powerful Women Unite community.
Yeah, so it's a community that I started in 2018. And it was a live weekly event. So it was a meetup type thing to have women who are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, struggling, having that community and having that ability to know that there are people out there that can help them connect. Because the more connected we are with other women, especially like-minded women, the more powerful we become. So that was really Powerful Women Unite. And
is it virtual or is it in person?
Well, it was in person, and then it was online with COVID, and I haven't really brought it back into the forefront because what I'd really like to do is step into something that's already across Canada and into the States. And I do have something that's happening. I can't really reveal too much right now, but I do have something, and I'm going to, wrap in Powerful Women Unite into that, because I think it's very, very important that women have that power and feel more connected, and that we become more united and we bring that power to the next level. So it is a community. It's on Facebook, Powerful Women Unite. You can link to it through powerfulwomenunite.com as well, which will just take you to the Facebook site. My tech guru would kill me if I told anyone that, but it's one of the easiest ways of getting there, powerfulwomenunite.com, and it'll take you right to my Facebook site with all the inspirational quotes and everything that I've been putting out for quite some time. Yeah.
I love being a connector and facilitating those connections. So there's a group I'd love to connect you with called the Empower Network TV. If you're not already connected, I'd love to make that connection.
Yeah, absolutely, Shannon, for sure. So if you want to friend me on Facebook so that we're connected, because I don't know if we are or not. And then, yeah, I would love that for sure. Awesome.
So Susan, how do we find you, and what is your favorite place to communicate with people?
SusanBinney.com, Susan Binney on Facebook, Susan Binney on LinkedIn, Susan Binney on Instagram, Susan Binney. Google Susan Binney. I'll come up. My favorite way really to connect with people is Facebook, because that's the one that I know, and that's the one that I can do in my sleep. But if LinkedIn is your place, I connect with you there. If you want to email me, it's susan@susanbinney.com. I know I've made that very difficult for people, but if you can just, Susan Binney, if you just remember that, because it's not Susan and it's not Miss Binney, it's Susan Binney. As you can see, my name is linked together. My company is Susan Binney, Susan Binney Co. I just about forgot that. So yeah, Susan Binney is really, SusanBinney.com really will help you. And I'm in the process of redoing that website. But at the beginning of it, it gives you an opportunity to start your story journey. So if you're interested in creating a story, that will help you create your journey and help you get going.
Awesome. So with the little bit of time that we have left, what is it that you need people to take away from this conversation today?
I need you to take away something that I haven't really talked about, but the whole idea that can wrap into the experience of your life. What do you want to experience? What is it you want? What can you do to make it happen? What will you do to get there? And who are you? Yes, I can. Yes, I will. Because yes, I am. And know that you can do anything from anywhere. As long as you set your mind to it and believe in you, you got this.
Do I believe in me? That's a question. That's a question I've been asking a lot. As things change, it's definitely something that I have to keep asking. How much do I believe in myself? Yeah. Thank you for that, Susan.
You're welcome.
I love that. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. I absolutely adore you. Let me know when you get back from your workcation.
I will. Yes, there's more work we got to do with each other.
Oh, yes. It's like we just got started.
I know.
And it was so much fun. I want to say thank you so much. And I will chat with you soon, okay?
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Bye, Susan.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, okay. I'm loving this.
Are we not in the show now? We're behind.
No, we're in the show.
Okay.
Susan went backstage. Sometimes I just need a moment to like decompress a little bit, switch to the next person. In the background, we have Kelly, who is hopefully ready. Thumbs up, baby. To come on stage with us. Kelly is also a part of the Blue Talks community, and just I've gotten to know her so well over the years that she's one of my favorite people, whether she knows it or not. So I'm going to bring you up to stage, Kelly. And I will also mention that at the beginning of the year, oh, you have some feedback. Oh, there we go. Okay. At the beginning of the year, you did I can't think of the word, like a book challenge. That's what it was. And I thought, because we were talking about books earlier, I thought that this one book that I had in my mind that I had planned for 10 years was going to be the book that I was going to write. And then going through your challenge, it was like, nope. That's not the path that you need to take right now. It was very eye-opening, and then chaos in life. But I'm still excited to start there.
That's usually what happens, Laura, is a lot of times people come in with one idea And then they get open to this other whole realm of ideas of books that they want to write. And it's usually not just one, it's usually like 5 or 6 or 10. So it doesn't surprise me that happened to you, Laura.
So usually I ask the question, what would you love other people to describe you as? So 3 words. What 3 words would you love other people to describe you as? But before you do, I just, for some reason, was thinking, okay, when I think of Kelly, I think of books. I think of like hot pink, because you're either in your hot pink shirt or those hot pink glasses. And then I'm thinking like your TED Talk, the whole ugly is beautiful, ugly being an acronym. And every time Corey talks about it in the speaker boot camp, or now the experts boot camp, I am right there looking it up going, oh, people need to watch this. So Kelly, if there were 3 words that you would love other people to use to describe you, what would those 3 words be?
Oh my gosh, what an incredible question to open up with. So I think definitely one of the words would be inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
The second word would probably be a go-getter.
Ooh.
And I think the third word would be creative.
I love all of those. So inspirational, go-getter, and creative. Now, of course, there's a reason why you chose these words. So can you tell us why you chose inspirational, go-getter, and creative?
I think because they just really describe who I am and what I do. So, so many people have told me that my story inspires them. So definitely inspirational would be one of them. Creative is because I don't just do one thing. So, I'm a speaker, I'm, a book coach, and I'm also an artist. And so, I've got a number of things on the go, and I'm just one of these people that just doesn't stop. And it's just so funny because I feel like, a couple of my girlfriends, they come to me when they're stuck. And they just say to me, Cal, I just love how your mind thinks, because whenever I get stuck, I just call you, and then you help me see another creative way of either doing business or solving the problem or whatever it is. So, and a go-getter, I picked that word because when I'm focused on something, I don't stop until I get what I want. So
I think that's one of my favorite things about you is you just, I can't think of the word right now, but I'm just picturing like this animal climbing and clawing something. It just relentlessly continues.
It's funny because I don't have it right here, but I am reading a book called right now Relentless. And it is by Tim Grover. And it explains the 3 different types of people that he saw in the athletes world, because he coached Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and the big greats in the athletic world. And so it's really quite fascinating because I always thought that there was something wrong with me. Like, why am I like this? Mm-hmm. And so this book is really helping me to point out that there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that I'm that kind of person that at times when I'm focused, I'm relentless and I don't stop until I get what I want. So, yeah.
Well, I'm part of the club of people that has been inspired by you, Kelly. I was part of the Blue Talks boot camp back in October last year. That was my introduction to the Blue Talks community, and I heard you speak, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about your story and truly how inspiring it is, and how much you empower others to tell their own story through your book challenge. And I have since submitted my first chapter for a Blue Talks book.
Yay!
And I just did the Cambridge talk in Cambridge, UK. So that was a big jump for me, a big challenge. And I'm feeling fully inspired to carry on and keep striving for more and being relentless.
I love it. Love it. Well, thank you for sharing that, Shannon, because I just love it. I mean, a lot of times people think things are just so hard and it's just so difficult. And a lot of times when I look back on things, I realized there was only really one thing I did that put everything into motion. And I think that that's the big thing. Like even getting the documentary about my life story, I mean, that started with me just sending an email to a producer in Canada, or no, a production company, a network. And the network said, "We love your story." And then they were the ones that found the production company, the money, and they put it all together. And even like my TEDx talk, I mean, that started by me just saying to one of my friends, "I want to do a TEDx talk." And she said, "Well, hey, Corey is teaching people how to do that." And so I took the program, and then landing the TEDx talk, all that happened with is me putting one sentence out on social media. And it basically said, "This is the topic I want to do for my TEDx talk. What do you think?" And that was when someone saw that and said, "Hey, I have my TEDx license. I want you on my stage." And that was how that started. And so a lot of times people think things are so hard, but it really isn't. It's just getting your butt in gear and just taking one step forward. Really all it is. So I'm so proud of you, Shannon, for doing that. Awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Thanks, Kelly. I heard your story and a little bit about what you've done, but how are you working with clients right now?
Well, right now, so what happened is, I was doing a lot of keynote speaking, and then I lost all that when COVID happened because, of course, there was no more live events. So I laid on the couch literally for a week. I didn't do anything but feed my kids. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Right. And I thought, like, I had 3 teenage kids to feed, and to clothe, and they were living with me full time. And so I said, what am I going to do? And I said, I guess I'm going to do this book thing. And so basically what I did is I just started coaching people. I just put on a workshop, pay what you can, because I didn't know what people would pay. So I thought, I'll just do pay what you can. And I made like $1,500 that weekend just by doing that. And I thought, well, this is good for a single mom. There's nothing wrong with $1,500 during COVID, right? And so then that's how it all expanded. I just kept putting stuff on Facebook and saying, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested? And so now, full time, I'm coaching people to write their books, become best-selling authors. And I've started 2 podcasts. I just did a brand new book and workbook called Monetize Your Book. And it's also a course. It's an audio course. So I'm really been jumping into the whole AI world. I'm loving it. I know that there's a lot of people really scared of it, but I figure we've got to embrace it and learn how to work with it and use it for good, right? Like, I'm not using it for bad stuff. I'm using it for really good stuff. And I just love, because I wrote this book using AI and the workbook and the course, and it's just making my life so much more efficient. So that's what I've been doing right now, is coaching people to write their books, become best-selling authors, write my own books. My podcast is called Grit, Guts, and Courage. And
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, we'll have to get both of you guys on the show. And then I just launched a new podcast called Landing the Gig. And so Landing the Gig is for event planners, meeting planners, speaking bureaus, and agents. And I'm interviewing them to find out what are the secrets to speakers landing more gigs. And it's just so fascinating, the content that they're sharing. So I'm really excited about launching that. And every speaker is going to want to watch this podcast because there's just so many golden nuggets in it. So
I don't know about you, Laura, but I would love to hear more about the Grit, Guts, and Courage.
Yes.
Like, how did you name that?
I love that name.
I know it's an awesome name, and it's it's Donna Fairhurst that came up with it. And I know some of you guys know her. Well, what happened was I had about 10 clients that I was coaching for a 1-year program. They signed up for my high ticket coaching. And so I promised them that we would do a book together, a compilation book. So I thought, okay, I couldn't think of a title. And so then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to ask the group. I'm going to ask the girls what they think. And so we did some brainstorming sessions. And that's when Donna said, Kelly, what do you think of Grit, Guts, and Courage? And so we all voted on it. and loved it. And so now I turned that into a podcast, a keynote, and also the book. So
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay. I want to ask more about that because Kelly, you are one of those people who just kind of take off in all of these areas. And generally when we think of sharing our message, we think of speaking, we think of writing a book, and we think of podcasting. And you have all of those and more creative ones on the side. So what is it about you and your personality and the things that you like that made you want to speak and write and have a podcast?
Well, it's funny because I never wanted a podcast.
Awesome.
I didn't. I've been on well over 100 podcasts, just with other people. But I never wanted my own. But then when I realized that this software that I'm using is so easy, I was like, okay, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
And why not? And the thing was too, what I was doing is taking people's interviews and converting them into the story. And then that was being used for the book. So, but why? Like, why did I even get into speaking? And I think it was mostly because I always knew that there was a reason I lived. Like, I got burnt at 2 years old to 75% of my body. And when you think of a 2-year-old, 75% of your body, like, I should have been dead. Like, I shouldn't be alive. And, even when I talked to my doctor and the nurses that I met that were with me and my anesthetist that was in the operating room with me, they all said, Kelly, you shouldn't have lived. There had to be a reason you lived. And so when I was, I think I was like 13 and I was in 4-H, one of the things you have to do is this public speaking competition. And so I did a speech and I won. And so it's fascinating because I think, oh my gosh, I was destined to be a speaker when I was 13 years old in 4-H. And that's when the universe was showing me, even back then, that hold it, you need to get your message out there. And so when I was 18, I realized, okay, there's a reason I'm alive. And what is my purpose? I didn't really know until I was in my 40s. And that was when I met Tremaine Hammond, and Tremaine said, Cal, you need to sell that business you're in and be a speaker. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm a burn survivor. So what? I'm not a speaker. And at that time in my life, I was in a toxic marriage. I was contemplating divorce. But my husband said I could only leave if I gave him the house and the kids. We were almost bankrupt. My business that I had, it was a scrapbooking business, was failing. He had been laid off from his job, so I was the only one working. And, we had 3 beautiful kids to support. And I was thinking, I do not see myself as an inspiration. I just didn't. I just saw myself as a loser. And she said, no, people will be inspired by your story. And I was like, I don't know what story you're talking about. But anyways, that was the start of it. She got us on a stage together. And we started, we did like an Ellen show. So she would ask the questions and I would do the answers. And I just realized that I did have an impact on people and I did have a story. People were laughing, they were crying, they were, coming up to me and telling me, how awesome I was. And yet I didn't see it. But that was the start of my whole, speaking career. And now, like, I've got a Goalcast video that has over 10 million views. I never thought that I would have that. My story's been made into a documentary called Still Beautiful, and they even recreated my accident of me getting burnt as a 2-year-old. 2 TEDx talks, which of course I always say is, because of Corey, because, he helped me to have that confidence to go and, share my story and figure out what that TEDx talk was going to be. And so, yeah, it all started from just taking that one step forward.
Kelly, I love the courage you have, and I'm wondering, are these, like, I remember in the MBA program learning about the big hairy goals. Like, do you have a bucket list, or do you have like that in your relentlessness? Like, what are you working towards in terms
Well,
of your bucket list?
I love that you asked that because I just came up with one. I don't know if I have a real massive hairy goal. It just that's the crazy thing about me is sometimes I don't even a lot of times I don't even know what I want. And if you were to look at my bucket list 10 years ago when I left my marriage and everything, I never would have thought I'd have a documentary about my life story. I never thought I would. So sometimes I find it weird setting a goal because it's like you never know where the universe is going to take you. But the other day, me and my boyfriend were watching some inspirational videos. And one of the videos that we watched was Mel Robbins and, her 5-second rule. And it was like, that's one of my big hairy goals. I want to be on a stage with Mel Robbins. And
Very cool.
yeah, I think that would be so super cool is to be able to, be at an event and share the stage with her. So that's one of my big hairy goals.
Okay, we're putting that out to the universe right now. Kelly Falardo wants to share a stage with Mel Robbins.
Yeah,
Whoever has connections, reach out to Kelly. And
well,
Mel.
and so here's how it may happen. Remember, I'm starting Landing the Gig, right? The podcast. So I've been put in touch with her agent. So I'm going to be interviewing him for Landing the Gig. That's my goal is to get an interview with him. He's still he's still hesitating. So I've got to reach out to him and see if I can interview him. And that's how, I'm going to get that connection with her, I believe, but I could be wrong. Right. But that's one of the ways I think it could happen.
That's amazing. I know that I'm just excited that you're progressing, that you're trying. I know way too many people who are like, I have this big, hairy, audacious goal, but it's never going to happen. So why bother send that initial email? Why bother create that initial Facebook post? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that just think their dreams aren't meant to come true. Mm-hmm. And, I'm living proof that dreams are meant to come true. And in fact, when I wrote my first book, No Risk, No Rewards, I was thinking a lot about it. And a quote came to me, and it was, dreams are meant to be found, not tucked away in dreamland. And usually when I'm on podcast interviews, that's how I'll end it, is by saying dreams are meant to be found, not tucked away in dreamland. And it came from, like my parents and my family were very, very supportive, but there was a few times when my grandma wasn't. And, and I remember her saying a few times, well, dreams will never come true. And I think that stemmed from her not following her dreams. She was born in 1912 and she always wanted to be a secretary or a school teacher. And she never ever did it. And it was because she was the farm wife looking after the kids and the farm and cooking and cleaning and all that other stuff. But in reality, she really was a teacher because she taught me and my sister how to knit, how to cook, how to make pierogies and, all those things, how to sew. And so she was a teacher. It's just that she didn't do it in a classroom. But so I've always thought about that so many people just tuck their dreams away and then they wonder why they're not happy in their life. And that's the reason. It's because they're staying in toxic marriages. They're staying in dead-end jobs. They're not like learning new things and embracing new technologies. And, they're just staying stuck. And like the world is full of possibilities. So.
Ooh, I just had an analogy pop into my head. So I'm picturing like these circles, these islands of circles, and that's your comfort zone. But then as life grows and progresses, these islands shrink. Those little circles that you're standing on shrink. You can only stay there for so long before you fall, before you crash. So then why stay in your comfort zone? It's comfortable for now. But it's easier at the beginning when all of those circles, those islands are bigger. You can just hop over the empty space to the next one. But if you wait too long, that 1 meter jump turns into 10, 20, 100, who knows, right?
Yeah. And and life is full of possibilities. And so why not try new things? Like, you guys see like all the good stuff that I've been doing, but you probably haven't seen the thousands of failures that I've had, right? And like so many things I've tried that didn't work, and so many different workshops and webinar ideas and speech topics and stuff like that that just didn't work. And so, a lot of times people just keep giving up, and you can't give up. And that's why I'm really enjoying reading the book Relentless by Tim Grover, is because, he's really helping me to see like the person who's relentless just doesn't give up. You just find something new or something different. Or you find a new way of doing it, and you just keep going. And people are scared of you because you do that, right? And that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with having people scared of you. But it's just a matter of just keep going. So, and keep creating new stuff. Like I realized that a couple of my clients were saying, Cal, how do I market my book? Now I'm a best-selling author. Now what? How am I going to sell more books? And so then I was like, oh my gosh, why don't I write this? Why don't I write, 31 unique ways to monetize your book? And that's what I started doing. And I had AI help me write it. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. Like, this is just brilliant. And so now I have a workbook and a book and a course that I can now teach. But it all came from that thought up here in my head that said, this is what my clients are asking for. Why aren't I doing this? Or let's make it happen. So yeah, you really got to listen to that inner intuition. So Laura, I know you're awesome at that too, right? You listen to it.
There are some horrible days, but most of the time, yes.
Kelly, I love like the high vibration, high frequency words that you chose to describe yourself. Inspirational, go-getter, creative. I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what do you do for fun? I'm just wanting to know more about like who is Kelly and what does she do for fun?
What a great question. Well, it's really been interesting. So, when like I've been divorced for 13 years now, and my like I dated for about 10 years and never found that guy, and then finally I did. And so it's so funny because the guy I'm with now, we're living together now for 2 years. I knew him in high school. So, and I said to him, why did it take you 38 years to ask me out? Right? Because we both knew each other in high school. And the ironic part about it with my story is that nobody in high school liked, well, I should say nobody liked me. The guys didn't want to date me because they were scared of me in high school, right? Because I was the ugly girl. But then now I'm with a guy from high school. So I just find it so funny with my story that this happened. So, anyways, he's been a huge inspiration for me because he's like, Cal, you don't have to work so hard. You have to start enjoying your life. And because I was a single mom for so many years and had my 3 kids to support, I felt like I had to work all the time. And especially when COVID happened, I was working 10, 12-hour days, 8 days a week, right? Like I was just constantly working. And so when he came into my life, he's like, Cal, you don't have to do that. And so the first summer we were together, I literally did nothing for 2 months. I couldn't do anything. I was just so exhausted. And so, anyways, what I do, he's been helping to bring the fun out in me. And so, we go golfing. Usually once a week, we go golfing. Um, I told him one time I love playing air hockey. It was just something that we did as kids because we had an air hockey table. So he says, okay, what are you doing Wednesday? Like, do I have to call your people to book a time for you to have time with you? And I said, no, come on. What are we doing? He goes, I'm not telling you. And so, he took me to the bowling alley and we played air hockey all afternoon, right? And it was just so much fun. And so, yeah, and a lot of it is just socializing with our friends. Like we really do a lot more of, having friends over. And another thing I do for fun, and you guys are not going to think this is fun, but I think it's fun, is on our deck, we have this old gazebo. And so I was designing it and adding pillows and lights and, just a lot of fun stuff. And so it's just been a lot of fun doing that. And yeah, so
I love it.
Okay, Kelly, you do know that my background is in architecture. That is completely fun to me. I would be super excited.
Oh my God.
Oh, hold on. I've been trying to buy a house, and so one of the things that I started doing was like drawing floor plans. You can't really see.
Oh my gosh.
Based on it, and then I've got my furniture that I'm putting in there. I have my samples that I got at the stores that I'm trying to.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's
you're
all
amazing.
fun to me. All of it's fun.
Yeah. And the other thing I do for fun is I paint. So I do love to paint. It's just one of my passions. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with that too. So yeah.
Thanks for answering that. Yeah, I love it.
So
It tells us a little bit more about just how, well, Kelly, you had mentioned the word creative. You try to put that into everything. And even that go-getter, you're putting that into everything. And the inspirational, like you're inspired by something on the internet. And you're like, oh, I have to create something around this. It's never ending. That's just who you are. So I love that these words came up.
it is. And in fact, I asked my spiritual coach, like, what is my gift? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what my gift is. And, and she says, Cal, you just said it. You're a creator. You create things.
Mm-hmm.
You see something that you want or need, or that someone else might want or need, and you create it. And I used to always think that I was just a starter, not a finisher. But I'm realizing that no, okay, I am a starter and a finisher, providing that the project is something I really want to do. If it's something that I don't want to do, I will start. And a lot of times I just won't finish. I'll just, I'm going to do that later. But most times I do start and finish. And, it's just so fun to see things come to life. I believe, right? Like, I'm just loving the new landing the gig. In fact, I even had mugs made that say landing the gig. And on the back it says thank you superstar. So you guys are like the first couple people to see it. But this is what I'm gonna be sending out to people that I interview for landing the gig. And so I created the whole thing, and I just love it, right? So I guess I am a creative.
I love it. That's great.
So yeah.
So I do want to branch into the conversation around AI. It came up a few times. It's something that you're getting into. And you also mentioned that there's a lot of tension around it. Can you explain the calculator analogy? I'm going to let you do that because that was the thing that switched my mindset. So I would love for you to share that.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, that's a fantastic analogy. And it hit me because there were so many people that are just so scared of AI. And, I still remember my parents getting all upset when the school sent a letter home saying, we want you to buy a calculator for your daughter to go to school with next year. And we're introducing calculators into the math class. And I remember my parents saying, are you kidding? She's never going to learn how to do math if she has a calculator in class, right? And now, I mean, we have calculators on our phone. Like, we have a calculator with us everywhere. And what are we supposed to do? Not embrace that technology? I mean, think about computers. Same thing. When computers came into the world, here we are, we're petrified of these tools. And that's basically what it is. It's a tool. And so I believe a calculator is a tool to do math. ChatGPT is a tool to help you write. And, where I even became even more solid with it is when I started thinking about, actually, I met a girl, and her and I were talking at a networking meeting. I was talking about ChatGPT, and she said, you know what? She says, my husband is dyslexic, and he just found out as an adult. And I used to get so mad at him because he would write something and it was wrong. And he would go and put it in the newspaper, and then I'd be embarrassed. And she said, then we realized he's dyslexic. And she said he was so embarrassed to do any kind of writing, and he works in corporate. And she said now with ChatGPT, he has more confidence than ever because he's now able to go and put his writing into ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to then correct it. And nobody knows he's got dyslexia anymore. So now he's able to write corporate reports and emails and newsletters and everything. So ChatGPT is helping him. So I always say, try it before you knock it, right? Like, try it. And I know that some people just hate it, and that's okay. You can hate it. But if you don't somehow embrace it, you're going to get left in the dark. And I firmly believe that. Like, I'm doing a speech in September, and it's for a group of speakers, and it's all about, the top AI tools that are going to supercharge your business. And I'm just loving it because, I found a tool that's even better than ChatGPT for writing. I've got this other software that I'm using that takes, like, I can take this interview and put it in, and then it'll break it down into like 3 or 5 video clips that you can then go and put on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, right? And I'm just loving it because it'll do it in like 2 minutes. And it's just like, oh my God, this is like incredible. So now I'm going to feel more comfortable putting videos on TikTok because I don't like doing dancing videos. That just doesn't work for me at all. So now I'm going to feel better, putting out Landing the Gig and Grit, Guts, and Courage and putting out all these other videos because I'm not having to do all the work. Right? So you let the software do the work.
I was one of those people who was really resistant because I was really afraid that my voice would get lost in AI. But as you taught me, like, it's not about AI writing things for you so much as it giving you ideas, giving you some context, putting things into a paragraph or even bullet points for you that you take and shift beyond that. Like, it's not writing that book for you, how to monetize your book. It is helping you get the ideas to write more efficiently, to express yourself more efficiently. And so when I started using it, I was like, okay, my mind can go everywhere so easily that I'm like, okay, I have things in my head about what I want to do. Let's see what ChatGPT does, because I will spend hours researching when ChatGPT does it for me.
So true. Yeah, so true. And what I like about it is it also gives me new ideas. It helps me to brainstorm, and it's like, oh my God, I never even thought of that. Yeah, like, that's smart. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I love it. That's what I love about the AI, is it really helps me to open up my mind and brainstorm more. So I love it. Yeah.
And what I feel, I'm going to put words in your mouth. I'm just going to describe things for you. Kelly, what I feel like you do is you help to break down the tools to help me share my voice and story. And that's through speaking, that's through writing, that's through podcasting and everything else that seems like it's this crazy big audacious goal, but I don't know how to do it. So then I don't bother starting. But you're like, here's how you write a book. Here's how you market a book. Here's how you do a TED Talk. Here's how you use ChatGPT. Every time I heard you share something, it made me feel better. I could trust that you got my back and that you would break it down into bite-sized pieces that I could handle in my stress.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. I love to hear that because, yeah, actually, that's one of my clients. That's what she said too. Is she bought my big package, and so we're finishing up her book. We're like done. Now we just need to launch it and make her into a bestseller. And that was actually what she said too. She says, I really like how you break everything down into bite-sized pieces, and it's not so overwhelming, because writing a book, becoming a best-selling author, can be very overwhelming. But when you break it down into the different phases and then the different steps below that, it's so much easier. And so, and that's what I love. I want to make it easy for people because it really is easy for me anyway.
And so, Kelly, do you help clients the entire process, help them publish? So you would be the publisher?
Yeah, I am a publisher, but what I do is I teach you how to do it so that you don't need me for the second or the third or fourth book, right? Mm-hmm. Because I would rather you know how to do it, because I don't want you bothering me when there's a mistake in your book and you're like, Kelly, I don't know what to do with this. I'm like, I'm going to teach you how to get it up on Amazon so that you can go and change your book price at any time, or you can order your books, or you can make a change, add a chapter, or whatever. I want you to know how to do it because I get annoyed.
I love your honesty.
I know. It's just like, and it's not a bad annoying. It's not a, like, I'm mad at you. It's just like, just figure it out, right? It's all right there on Amazon. You just go to KDP and it says order author copies, and it says, change the price. And so sometimes I just get crazy because it's like, why can't you figure this out? That's my internal voice. I'm not allowed to say that to people, but
It's so good. But when we're so used to getting bite-sized pieces that are actually like huge mouthfuls, if you're not ready for that, and especially if you're not in the right mindset for that, that is very overwhelming. But yet they're bite-sized pieces. No. You actually create like nibbles that I can fully move around my mouth, be able to play with, so that I'm not choking on any of these actions that you're asking me to do.
Well, and Laura, I loved having you in the class because, you're so supportive and you were like so uplifting and you're like, come on, guys, we can all do this. It's so easy and let's just keep at it. And so, I want to thank you for being who you are because, you made it more fun too for me to teach it and for me to do what I was doing. And so thank you for that. And Shannon, I can't wait to read your chapter. I want to know more about you and what you're doing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So then, Kelly, can you describe to us, because I put my own words in there about what you do, but can you use your own words to tell us what it is that you do?
About what I do?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I always just like to say that, I speak and share my story and then I coach people to write books. And that's on one level. But if you go really deeper, the deeper level is that I help people to see their stories and I help them to either get it into a speech, get it into a book or a podcast and see the value in their life. I mean, I know that I didn't see the value in my story. And when I saw Goalcast, me and my daughter were watching the views and we were watching the comments and everything. And in 6 hours, we had 1 million views. And me and my daughter are texting each other, like, and she's going, Mom, this is crazy, right? And we're watching some of the comments, and she, one person commented and said, we should get her on our stage, but we probably can't afford her. And my daughter's like, hold it. Like she even commented, hold it. Kelly's my mom. Why don't I get in touch with her and we'll see, what we can do, right? So I gave her a commission for that, right?
Nice.
I did. Because I would pay a bureau for that.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm going to give my daughter a commission for that because, that's pretty impressive that she found it and landed me a speaking gig, right? So
I love it.
Yeah. And so, stuff like that is what's helping me to see that there is value in my story. A lot of times I just do things. And it's because sometimes I'm crazy. My boyfriend thinks I'm crazy, but it's crazy good, and but it's just who I am. I'm just one of those people that when I see something, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And I find a way, even if I don't know how. And so, what do? I like to inspire people that if I can do it, they can do it too. And especially in today's world where we've got the internet, we've got the tools, we've got YouTube. If you don't know how to do something, you go on YouTube. And like even this video editing software that I'm using that's just so brilliant. I was just on a call with them before I was with you guys, and they were showing me some more stuff. And I was like, how awesome is that they were willing to put it on their website? If you're having problems, jump on a call with us. And I was like, this is like incredible customer support. So I just believe that everybody needs to get their stories out there because you never know when your story is going to help somebody. And when I get those text messages or emails when people say, thank you, you saved my life. I was going to commit suicide, but you make me want to live. That's when you know you're on the right path. And that's when you know that you have to be relentless and you have to do a lot more creating and a lot more of everything. So I know that I'll never retire, because why? When I'm doing stuff I love, why would I retire? Right? So
That's just who you are every day. Like, why would that change when you hit 65?
I'm gonna be bored. Well, I'm not that far away from it too. So
Are you really?
I'm 57.
I never would have guessed.
People think I'm maybe in my 40s, so they don't believe it when I say I'm 57. So I'm only 3 years away from 60, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's still so much more to do. I still haven't done everything. I still haven't reached my goals or some of my other goals, right? And it's just like, oh, what am I gonna do? But anyways, it's all gonna come in due time, and I'm happy about that. So
Great.
And
yeah.
so, Shelley, what would you say you're the most proud of?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it depends whether you're talking about professionally or personally. Um, Personally, I would say that I'm most proud of my kids, of course, definitely my 3 kids, having twins. But I think I'm also most proud of the fact that my ex-husband said to me, Cal, and he was drunk, okay, but still he said it, and I'll never forget it. And he said, you know what, Cal, I often think of, if you and I were separated, you'd be a single mom with 3 kids with the scars on your body. Who would want you?
Oh.
And I said, F you, right? And I am most proud that I still found the courage to leave my marriage of 24 years, even though there's a possibility that I could be single for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Because there's so many people that stay in toxic marriages and don't have the courage to do it. And so I'm most proud of myself for stepping out and saying, you know what, this is not serving me. This marriage is not working on any level other than I've got 3 beautiful kids, and I don't I don't deserve to have a life like this. It's up to me to make that change, and so that's what I did. On a professional level, I am most proud of the documentary. I'm very proud of the documentary and how it came out and what they created with it. And also that, I did do my 2 TEDx talks. And I'm proud of the fact that when I want to do something, I do it. And, there was a time when I used to be really upset with myself that I couldn't do just one thing. My grandma, she got her first job at Eaton's. She retired at Eaton's, and she had one job their whole life for 50 years. And I was like, why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? That's what I kept saying. What's wrong with me? And then I realized, what's right with me? What's right with me is that I'm creative, and I need to do multiple things, and I love, trying new things. And if it doesn't work, oh well. And so I love that about me, that I am willing to go and try new things. And I've embraced the fact that I will never do just one thing, that I will always have multiple things on the go, because that's just me. I love it that way. I wouldn't want it any other way. I'd get bored if I only did one thing. And that's one of the reasons I love the speaking business, is because you can do so much. You can do podcasts, you can do coaching, you can do courses, you can do stage speaking, virtual speaking, you can write books, you can do whatever you want to do. And so I'm very proud of that fact, that I found a career that I can be creative in, and I can inspire people, and I can be a go-getter.
Well, I love that about you too. You're so dynamic, and what you're proud of personally hits home more than you know. My heart goes out to you for your vulnerability and your share. And I'm going through a separation myself right now, so it's weighing really, really heavy. And so I look forward to checking out your Grit, Guts, and Courage podcast just for more as a source of strength and maybe continued inspiration, because it's not an easy thing to do, to leave a toxic relationship when you're a parent and to have that, all those fears.
Well, you know what, Shannon, let's jump on another call, and I'd be happy to chat with you more about it. And let's get you on the Grit, Guts, and Courage show. And same with you, Laura. Love to get you guys both on that show, and let's chat more about it. So let's do it.
Definitely. So Kelly, I'm going to assume that your link in your name, the link tr.ee/Kelly NFT, is the best way to find you with all of your links.
Yeah, it's got everything there. So,
Awesome.
But yeah, reach out to me anytime. I'd love to chat with people. And Shannon, I commend you for going through what you're doing. I know it's not easy, but I do know it does get easier. So reach out anytime. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm
You're
going to
very
put in
welcome.
the background, and I'll bring up our next guest. And yes, we will definitely chat behind the scenes.
We will. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Love you all.
So, Kandi, I know that you are in the background. Your camera's currently off, but when you are ready, just give me a thumbs up and we will bring you to the main screen. Shannon, how is that? How are you feeling? Because I know that there was some personal stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I might just, do we have 1 minute for a bio break?
You can go anytime you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might just stop my camera.
Sure, that works.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Sure. So since I am on the screen by myself at the moment, I am going to assume that there are technical issues. So which of course happens almost every time, when there's tech involved, there's usually something else going on. So let's see. Oh, my phone is charged. Do people need support? I'm not seeing anything. Cool. Kandi, I know that you're in the back. Give me a thumbs up if you are ready to come up on stage. Awesome. Hi, Kandi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm just going to say right from the start that since we're both redheads, whether that is real or not does not matter. It makes us automatic best friends.
Exactly. Redheads rule.
I know, right? Like we can pinpoint as soon as they're across the room somewhere. We're like, I see you.
I see you. You're my people. That's right.
You're my people. So welcome to the Blue Talk stage.
Thank you.
I don't believe that you and I have had a conversation before. And
No,
if we have, my apologies.
No, we have not.
But for those who don't know, like this is the Blue Talk stage. It's about amplifying your message. And so I want to get to know a little bit about you, a little bit about why you do the work that you do, because you as a human being plays a huge role into how you show up, and not just the skills that you have. You're not a means to an end. You're a human being.
Yes. Yes.
So like no prep. This is just really fun, really curious. Kandi,
Cool.
I've been starting our conversations with a fun question.
Oh.
And here it is.
Okay.
If there were 3 words that you would love other people to use to describe you, what might those 3 words be?
Oh. Fun words or any kind of words?
Any kind of words. Sometimes they're not fun words, but I know that there's always a story behind them. So we'll get there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mission critical would be one of the words.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hi, Shannon. Transformational.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go with the 3 that are coming to my head, and then we'll figure out why they're coming to my head, because sometimes we don't always know. Necessary.
Ooh, okay. I'm definitely going to spell that wrong.
I know. Don't even ask me. It's 9:15 where I am, and I'm like, this is the latest time available for in your guys' schedule, so I'm still like in my coffee mode. But hey,
we're in the same time zone, Kandi.
Okay, good.
I'm in
the middle of the
Kelowna,
afternoon
BC.
for me.
Oh, you're in Kelowna?
Yeah. What
Aw.
was I missed your first word. I got transformational and necessary. What was the third one?
Mission critical.
Mission critical.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just what's coming to me, so that's what I'm going to say.
Okay, so then when you think of the word mission critical, what comes to mind there?
Well, I think that I've been coaching for 29 years. I've been a business coach for 29 years, and I think it used to be a luxury to have a coach.
Oh.
And
Mhm.
what I do and what our company does all day, every day, it's mission critical to have someone like us on your team. And so to be successful, it's mission critical to have someone like us. So that's the first word that comes to mind when someone says, what do? We do something that's mission critical to help business owners. So if I were thinking about how I would like to be described to somebody,
Yeah.
it's mission critical so that they can have what they want.
Ooh. But I like that word, because then if you were telling me that you were an expert and a coach in this idea of mission critical, the first person I'm going to think of when crap hits the fan is, oh, Kandi specifically said that this is where she likes to play.
Yep.
I'm going to be thinking of you first.
Well, thanks.
Oh,
How about even before the crap hits the fan, though, also, right?
Yeah.
So that you can get there successfully. And I think that's a lot of people sometimes wait until the crap hits the fan. How about we have a strategy so the crap doesn't have to hit the fan also, in addition to that.
But isn't that where transformational comes in? It's like, I know this is how you probably met me.
Right?
But let's switch that for next time. Tell us about the transformational piece then.
So in the coaching, speaking, training world, there's 3 genres. There's motivational, like walk on fire, go to an event, and it's based on an experience or a specific speaker, which is awesome. But a lot of times what happens is it doesn't translate, it doesn't stick, it's not long-term change, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the informational, educational piece, books, tapes, and CDs, which there's a place for that. But what we're about, what I'm about, what I've been about, and how I would love to be described is transformational, meaning you get transformed from the inside out. So it's what we live, breathe, eat, do all day, every day, is transform from the inside out. Because once you have that transformation, it stays with you. Once you have that awareness training, it stays with you. And that's why it's so powerful, and it's just different. It's inside out training versus you have to go somewhere else to find it. No, it's inside. And once you have that, it stays.
I love that you mentioned awareness, because that has been a running pattern today in our conversations, and just how important that awareness piece is.
Everything.
What can get us to that mission critical is that we don't have that awareness piece, and then it feels, whether it's true or not, that it just slaps us in the face.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, oh no, we need help.
I'm sure for you guys, there's always a theme, just like for me, every week in coach calls, there's always like a theme, regardless of who I'm talking to. It's just interesting how the universe works, you know?
I love that you pick up on that too. Patterns are one of my favorite things. Cool. And so every time I have multiple conversations or do different things, I'm always thinking, what is the pattern here? Is this a repeating pattern that is one of my defaults?
Right?
Or is the pattern shifting?
Is this a message for me personally? Like, is this something happening I'm supposed to know about right now?
Exactly.
Yes, I get that.
Can you explain just a little bit about the difference between motivational and transformational as a speaker?
Yes.
Okay.
So motivational is, in my experience, it's going to an event and it's based on getting a team or a group of people motivated, right? So it's based on an event, versus transformational is much deeper. And it's looking at like exploring, questioning, and discover what's in the way of your success. So in our world, what that looks like is we all have an internal GPS that we've created, like a HTML computer programming in a computer. It's running all the time in the back of our head. From the ages 0 to 4, 50% of who we are is actually being programmed. We're a sponge, right? Life is being poured into us. From the age of 5 to 9, another 30%. Life is being poured into us. From the age of 10 to 18, another 15% of life is being poured into us. By the time we're 18 years old, we have an internal GPS that's driving us, and it's on an unconscious level. We don't even know that it exists. So transformational work is we're taking a look at our awareness. Like, what are our limiting beliefs? Fear of success, fear of failure, money, relationships. What is our operating system, so to speak? And being able to determine what is that operating system and what is working, and what are the limiting beliefs that are stopping us. And it's why I became a coach. When I attended my first personal development class 29 years ago, when I discovered, wait a second, there's this operational system that I didn't even know about, and it's driving me to a destination. Okay, I want to know what that is. So that's transformational, is understanding that.
Thank you. Because there is a whole conversation in the speaking world, or people getting into it, where they think, oh, I just want to be a motivational speaker. Well, have you ever been to those events where they hype you up and then leave you there?
Correct. It's just like, I guess maybe it's a redhead thing, Laura. I don't know. Bless you, Shannon. But that's not enough for me. Like, I've never been like, I'm just going to say half-assed, right? I've never been like, just like a little bit. It's like, if it's not going to create change, even before I was a speaker, like, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, because yay, it's great to get motivated. But then what's next? Like, it's just like, what's the results that you're going to get from it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the third word you used was necessary. Why did that word pop up?
I have no idea. It just popped in my head. I don't know. So that's why I'm like, I'm just going to so one of the great things about maybe being not fully coffeeed out yet is that you're just using like what's coming to your brain. I think necessary. You have to have a shark in your tank. You have to have somebody that is going to help you see the things that you cannot see. Having an expert business coach that is trained in transformation is like having a pretend video camera that can see the things that you can't see. So not necessarily me as a person, but having someone like me on your team as a business owner is necessary. It's not an option, it's necessary.
I love that. And I love that I can put you on the spot and you play with me. So thank you.
Yes, of course. I love it. I love it. Why not, right?
Well, we had mentioned earlier that I don't know where I was going with this, but that's fine.
Okay.
We can
We're doing our thing.
We're
doing our thing. It's all good.
like sometimes it's intuition that's driving us. Sometimes we say things out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
But having that ability to see anything, like these words that pop into our head, and actually think about it for a split second, and find a way to tie it in. That's how you know that you have a deeper understanding of things, that you're not just memorizing.
Oh yeah, no.
So this whole conversation about transformation versus motivation, I love that you just gave us an example of that. You're like, I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to do it. It came for a reason. I'm going to trust that I had said that to help.
It's always for a reason. And I think part of the responsibility that comes with doing this work is leaning into it. To whom much is given, much is required, right? And because I do this all day, every day, it's easy to lean into it.
Yeah.
Kandi, I would love to learn more. I'm like super fascinated by people's strengths and superpowers and talents. So I suspect the 3 words you gave us and described have something to do with your strengths and talents. And I'd love to know what you think your superpowers are.
Oh, okay. I might need coffee for that one.
I love it. But I also love that your cup says his on it.
Okay, let's be honest. It's because the dishwasher didn't actually do its thing last night. And I woke up, I'm like, okay, these are our extra mugs. They're not like our cute ones that say like puppy mom or like, so yeah. I have it just happened. Maybe it means something. I don't know. Maybe. I think probably, Shannon, one of my superpowers is to be able to help somebody identify their biggest limiting beliefs, number one, and helping them identify it, and how it shows up in their business, how to overcome it, and then how to completely like leap over it very quickly. Like, for example, I have a lot of clients that have been in business for a long time, and they have another level that they want to go to, whether that's hiring a new team. A lot of times it has to do with revenue. Okay, I just want to get to that 6-figure mark next month, and I just cannot figure out how to get there. So we get there in 30 days. So it's just being able to help them figure out, oh, wow, this fear of failure, a fear of success, whatever it is, has been stopping me my whole life. I didn't even know that's what it was. So that the limiting belief and helping people understand that, and then what to do about it, I think is part of my superpower.
Okay, awesome. And then you mentioned that you had this like epiphany about each of us having an operating system.
Yes.
And I haven't really heard it described that way. So I'm just wondering, like, if you could elaborate a little bit on, how do we identify our operating system and then work with it to our benefit?
Well, that would be the reason why someone would need to come into our world so we can deep dive more into that. So there's that. But basically, we all are, if you think about a kid, right, we're born as a child to have everything that we need to be successful. Like, kids don't let anything stop them. They don't care how much money we have. They don't care if it's convenient. They want what they want when they want it. So we were all born like that. And then we are surrounded by brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, life, teachers, all the things. And we start developing a way of thinking. So it's like a program, right? So for example, I have to practice being quiet a lot when I go to a store and I hear, this is an example. If I hear a child in a Target or one of those kind of stores, right? And they say, "Mommy, I want this." And a mom or dad might say, "Put that down. We can't afford it." In that, I know. I'm like, "Ooh, not my," so I have to tell myself, be quiet. It's not, have my own little coaching session with myself in that moment. In that moment, 3 limiting beliefs were just downloaded into that child's brain. You're potentially, okay, we don't have enough money, scarcity, potentially when you go for what you want, you can't have it, you're not enough, and you don't deserve it. So in that moment, that's kind of a dramatic example, but I've heard it so many times that it's not that dramatic. So that's an example of how we get programmed, because we don't know at 3 and 4 and 5 years old, oh, wait, okay, so when I go for a dream, I get knocked down. So maybe I shouldn't go for a dream. Or here's what happens when I think I can have something. So that's an example of those limiting beliefs over time, over life, right? So from the age of 0 to 4, 50% of how we see ourselves is being formed. Most of us don't have a memory, but I've heard that so many times. Like, I have to put like cotton in my ears figuratively when I go into a store, because I hear those things like everywhere because I'm trained to hear them, right? And so that's an example. So by the time we're 18 years old, that internal GPS, I can't afford it. Scarcity is a big one for a lot of people. And what I mean by scarcity is any conversation around lack. Not enough people, not enough money, not enough clients, not enough time. Huge, huge. And then you have a goal as a business owner, and then that tape, that internal GPS is running behind the scenes. And so when you go to create a 6-figure business, that tape is running. And so it's running so strongly. And if you don't know that it's running, no wonder you can't get to $100,000, because that's what's driving you. Even though you're saying, hey, I want a 6-figure business, but that internal GPS is driving you like a GPS drives you in a car.
Ooh, yeah, I have a story around that one. When I got laid off from my architectural job, the office manager, who didn't really know me, I just kind of worked under him for a year, he told me during my exit interview, "Oh, don't worry, you can go be an admin person." And I was like, whoa. So I was in architecture for 15 years, loved by everybody I worked with.
In person?
Yeah, I could go get an admin job. it still irks me to this day, but like that moment from there on out, I could see those patterns of you're not good enough. You're not worth asking for money. You're not worth starting your own business. It's never going to work. You're doomed to have an admin job that you don't like. And so that story plays out.
Yep. It's stories.
Until I take the time to go back, look at it, resolve it, resource myself, all that kind of stuff.
That was a gift though, probably for you.
Yes. I'm just kind of working through the end part of it now, but
yeah,
to not see it for so many years, we mentioned it earlier, like I have a tattoo on my back, but I can't see it.
Correct.
I need help to see that. If
Call
I'm a
the
massage
hunchback
therapist,
crap,
I can't massage my back. So, like, we need help. How do you help people with that awareness piece of opening their eyes to these kinds of aha moments?
Well, we start all of our coaching clients within the first 2 hours. They know what they are. That's the first thing we do.
Nice.
Because it's so important. So everything that we do has, mindset is everything. Business success is 95% mindset. And oh, by the way, I happen to be a coach. And oh, by the way, you happen to do this. And oh, by the way, you happen to do that. Right? Yep. It's 95% mindset. So that's the first thing that we do. And we have them, because you can't take on all your limiting beliefs. We work with their top 3 limiting beliefs. And then the number one. So what is the number one thing? So is it scarcity? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of success? Is it I'm not good enough? Like, what's the biggest thing? And then we tackle that thing within 30 days so they can have a major shift. And then what happens is you start creating evidence that can take it on. You create evidence that you can have it. And then that shift occurs. And then we just continue to shift. And then you create that pile of evidence that you can have it.
I love that. I do the same thing with the sales process. There's so much communication around, poke the pain and make them feel bad and persuasion and all of that. But it's exactly what you just said. If you can identify what people are already doing and celebrate that and empower them through doing that.
Yeah.
It's a completely different feeling. And then they want to do the work, even though it's uncomfortable. Then that change happens so much faster.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so, Kandi, you talked about being a business coach, speaker, and trainer. Yes. So is your ideal client or your target market the entrepreneurs, or is it broader than that? Like, who is your ideal client?
I love this question so much because we've been told so many times, you need a niche down, you need a niche down, you need a niche down. We're like, no, we don't, no, we don't, no, we don't. So our clients are entrepreneurs and small to medium-sized business owners. That's who we work with. We've worked with every industry on the planet. And up until before COVID, we were primarily in person. And my business partner and I decided about 8 months before COVID, we really want to launch and have a global audience. So the timing was kind of perfect because we were already investing in, how do we have an online presence? How do we have a Facebook group and do lead magnets and all that kind of stuff? Little did we know, what that was actually going to entail, that we were going to be totally shut down in COVID in California and all those things. But we have learned a lot and failed forward a lot, and we're on the other side of that. But entrepreneurs and small to medium-sized business owners and people that have a W-2, that have a side gig, that really want to fire themselves. No, seriously, they want to fire themselves from their, I had a client say, my non-passion project. I'm firing myself from, I know, isn't that the coolest thing? My non-passion project. And we just had a brand new client that started with us 3 weeks ago, and he just fired himself, and he's super excited and launched his business. So to me, that's an entrepreneur like in waiting. That's our client.
The conversation that I like to have with people is asking not about the things that you do, but about the emotional thread that ties them together. So you had mentioned that you work with entrepreneurs as well as small to medium business owners.
Yes.
But we know it's not about the demographics. Sure, great, whatever. There's psychographics. But I want to dive deep into what is the emotional problem that you're trying to solve? What is that emotional journey? So is there a pattern between the entrepreneurs, the small business owners and medium-sized business owners, that is an emotional connection between it?
Well, I think when we're talking about money, there's always an emotional pattern.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why I decided to be a business coach versus a life coach is when your business is successful, your entire life changes. And when you can, I don't even know, Laura, why we discovered it really for the first time, kind of by accident. And for those people that don't know us, we started our business with $1.11, July 23rd, 2004. So we just celebrated our 19th year in business. And our first year, thank you. It's like, it seems like 100 years ago and like yesterday, all at the same time. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But we set our goal the first year in business to create $100,000. Why? Because I'd never had that. I was a single mom. I'd never had that before. And I didn't realize how transformational that number was going to be until I hit it. And since then, helping so many people get $50,000 for the first time, $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, and $1 million, there is a major psychological, emotional, spiritual, physical, all the things shift when someone hits that financial goal, not only for the first time, but can do it. There's something when you do something 3 times in a row, there's a pattern to it, right? It's not an accident. It wasn't a fluke. Oh, okay, I really can do it. They have a major shift as a human being, who they are and what they're capable of and what they're worthy of creating. So it shifts everything. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, I think the relationship with money and their worthiness shifts majorly.
Yeah. I do like that word, worthiness. Can you think of a word that would be the opposite of worthiness?
Yeah, not deserving it or not enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then now what I'm thinking with you in your business is this pit of a moment where you had that $1.11. Did you say that you put it in an envelope under your pillow? Is that what I read?
Yes.
That moment where you're like, I'm taking all of the money out of my account.
All my money out. Like,
all your money.
Woo, yeah. Well, I was a corporate sales trainer, and I made $2,500 a month before taxes. I worked 2 other jobs. I worked at Chevy's as a server, which I am kind of clumsy. So, and klutzy, not exactly my best gig, really.
I think that's the redhead part.
Is it?
Yeah.
I swear. I dumped a strawberry margarita down on someone's back, I know it was terrible. I'm so klutzy. I know. It was worse. But I was a shot girl at a country bar, and that kind of was fun. But I didn't have a lot of money, but I recognized I did my corporate sales training gig for almost 4 years. And I recognized, okay, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get really, really, really good at what I do. So yes, I'm like, okay, I want to have my own business. This is what I've got.
Yeah. So then that moment where you had all of your money $1.11 under your pillow, was that what you felt in that moment? Was just that complete, utter unworthiness?
No, I felt fear. I felt crazy. I felt excitement, and I felt, oh my God, how am I going to start? So I felt every emotion, I think, on the planet.
Oh yeah. But then I can see how that moment of chaos,
yes, chaos
can turn into this journey of worthiness, no matter if you're an entrepreneur or medium-sized business. I
don't think it feels like that for a while, though.
Yeah, it's a whole.
It's an art. Well, and see, that's why I think I came up with those 3 words.
Yeah.
Mission critical. See, I didn't have necessarily a me, or I didn't have an us. Let's just go with that. So that's why having us is mission critical, because, oh my God, all of the breakthroughs I could have avoided. And back then, 19 years ago, it was just a different time, right? And so fear of failure is one of my biggest limiting beliefs. And so limiting belief, still to this day, because your limiting beliefs don't necessarily go away, it's just how you manage them, right? And so that every minute of every single day for that first year until we hit $100,000, and then you shift the goal, right? So lifelong feeling of worthiness, I think, is a lifelong journey. I don't think it's like, oh, I got it now, and okay, I got the award for worthiness, you know?
Yeah. Well, that sounds a lot like PTSD. So it's not something that goes away. It's something that you learn how to manage better as you continue.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot of mental health things do that. And whether that is you were thought of, I'm not worthy, or PTSD, or whatever it happens to be.
Sure.
It's how do you manage? So how have you chosen to manage your fear of failure?
Well, number one, I know that fear is a part of success.
Yes.
And I know that it's not talked about enough.
Yes.
And so I recognize it for what it is. And I love this conversation so much, because in between point A and point B, when you're in the messy middle, that's where the magic happens. Because what most people do when you're in the messy middle, you go back to your original destination if you don't recognize what's going on. And when you're in the messy middle, you're actually getting towards what you want, but there's a particular icky feeling that comes with that, and you feel like, nothing's happening, so something must be wrong. And there's a lot of fear present because you can't actually see it. So you have to stay focused on the end result and stay focused on what you want, and not let your feelings dictate the destination.
Yeah.
Because fear is going to be a part of that success. And we talk about this all. In fact, I'm speaking on Friday, and this is what I'm going to be talking about when you're in the messy middle.
Nice.
Yeah. So knowing what's happening and having the awareness of the feel, because your feelings are dictated by your internal GPS. Your feelings are dictated by your limiting beliefs. And so not necessarily having your feelings, drive you, because they're not always going to drive you where you want.
Yeah. It can take you many places.
Yeah. Usually the opposite place of where you want to go, like back to your point A, and then you have to start all over, and it's a lot harder.
So then, what would be crazy cool to happen for you in the next year? Like, what do you want to work on? Who do you want to meet? What do you want to do?
Well, there's so many crazies.
I know.
I was going to ask the same question in a little bit of a different way, kind of like for Kelly, like, do you have a bucket list, or is there a top 3 things? But yeah, I'm curious about the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. So one of the things that we want to do is have a really gigantic 20th anniversary in-person event. So that's the first one.
Where?
Don't know.
Okay.
Somewhere fabulous.
It's somewhere fabulous.
I know, somewhere fabulous. It's being brewed in our.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't have clarity on the where.
Okay.
Somewhere fabulous. We also want to launch a coach university to be able to train coaches. And what's interesting about that is we're attracting coaches, new coaches into our world. And Caitlin, anything else you want to add to our bucket list? Huh? Oh, TED Talk for me.
Ooh.
That's my business partner. What is the top 3 things on our bucket list? There's so many.
I know.
It's like how to pick. It's like, which one is your best employee or your best child? I don't know. I don't want to offend any of them.
You just picked all of them. That's all.
Hey, please hold on. I'm going to confer. Please hold. What is it? Add a mental health part to our business.
Ooh, how can I help with that one?
I don't know.
That is the space that I play in.
Okay, well, we will follow up with you and see. So we're working on like adding new legs to our business.
Ooh, okay.
And what about personally, Kandi? Like, what would be like a way to reward yourself or celebrate? That's like,
what? We don't reward ourselves around here. No. So one of the things that you guys may or may not know about me is I'm also a singer. And so
after my own heart.
And I have an album that was released a couple years ago. So next year I will start my next album project.
Ooh.
And one could consider that a reward. However, it's also a lot of work. So that would be something that's on my bucket list as well. And we're getting into, once I get started, there's like a whole list. We're getting into the Airbnb game and all that kind of stuff. So lots of things.
No, I'm loving all of it, because then we're getting to learning about Kandi instead of just what Kandi does. Like, who is Kandi?
Where's Waldo? No, I'm just kidding.
Stripes. I don't think we look good in stripes.
No, we don't.
I love real estate and super passionate about international real estate. Just sold a home in Arizona that I had since 2009.
Really?
Well, had 3 different houses down there, and Airbnb was a big part of a revenue stream for me. And looking at, there's some changes going on in my life, and I just got back from a backpacking adventure with my 16-year-old in Europe. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to own a castle in Portugal or France?
That would be so cool.
Yeah. So what are your Airbnb?
We are literally like just starting, but Arizona, we used to live there. That's where I started my business. So Arizona is on our target list. Las Vegas and potentially Florida, but we're like literally just like getting started. So I hadn't thought about owning a castle though, because that takes
it's a joke.
Well, sometimes we say things. I used to live in Germany, so I've been to like a lot of castles in my lifetime. So
nice.
Yeah. So we're just getting started. But if you have recommendations, I mean, for sure we can talk about the investment game, and Laura, for sure we can talk about the mental health. That'd be awesome. I feel weird that we've been talking about me for so long, honestly. Usually I like to talk about everybody else.
Well, I know it. We wanted this show to be not just what kind of value can you bring people so that we can use your value pieces to add value. No, your value is in your beingness as well. And so we want to highlight that and tie that to your message so that when people hear your message, they're like, oh, I get it. I feel it. It's so much deeper. And then they can take that with them so much easier than if you just said, here's my message, please share it.
Right.
I think you look really radiant, Kandi. So I'm wondering, what's your secret? Like, what do you do to stay healthy? And,
oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. Really good skincare. I don't really drink. I've never really smoked. I don't really like party. I don't know. Also, I think when you're living your purpose, you radiate from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big part of it. And I think that we're really fortunate that we get to see people get what they want. And I don't know, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is before a coaching call, I'll get somebody to take a selfie. And then after our coaching call, I'll get somebody to take a selfie.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
And then get them just to compare their face. I'm like, the amount of shifts just in your face.
Yeah.
And you can visually see it. I was like, that's something tangible you can take with you, whether you believe something happened or not. You can see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a client that's a spa owner that started me on new skincare. So I will let her know that I got to, no, seriously, I got a compliment about my skin. That's hilarious. She's going to love it. I'm getting ready to go see her in Florida in 2 weeks or 10 days, something like that. I work with her and her team. So yeah, that's cute.
So Kandi, if there was something that you just needed people to take away from this conversation, what would you leave them with?
That anything is possible. That it doesn't matter where you're starting, because obviously we started with $1.11. Mm-hmm. And that if you're afraid, it's okay. It's part of success. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't have it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of nauseous at the moment because there's just...
I haven't told you about
okay, do tell. Okay. I want to know now.
Okay, well, I've coined a phrase. It's called barfalicious after working with people for 9 years. When you have that nauseous / excited / oh my God, I'm freaking crazy feeling, it's called barfalicious because you get that like barfy feeling. So yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. I
So
remember reading it. Yeah. Because
okay.
there's so many exciting things going on, but I'm in that messy middle where it's
Ooh,
just like,
girl.
oh, you have no idea. Like everything is changing for the better, but it's just sucky at the moment.
Okay, I don't know how much time do we have? 4 minutes?
We have about 4 minutes.
Okay, so there's 3 stages in business: formulation, concentration, and momentum. So formulation is when you're formulating your game plan, right? And then in the messy middle is when you're concentrating on it. And that is when it feels the worst.
Ugh.
And when you shift into momentum, then it's like, oh, wow, how did I get here? This seems so easy. So concentration is the hardest part. And that's when you feel like, oh, that was so beautiful on video.
Yeah.
That's when you feel all those things.
Here, I'll do it for you.
Yeah. That's when you feel all those things in messy middle. But you're getting towards what you want. But it's sometimes that messy middle can feel like ages and ages and ages.
Oh yeah, like your pant size changes, your skin goes berserk, your hair starts falling out, like the things that nobody talks about. Your husband's beard turns white. It's all good. But
see, that's why we have to talk about it, because people don't talk about it.
Exactly. Like my hair used to be so thick.
Yeah, no, extensions, girl. That's what this is. Yeah. I did not wake up like this, I promise. It looked much different when I woke up.
So, Kandi, how do we find you, and what is your favorite way of communicating with people?
Well, you can find me everywhere. On Instagram, on Facebook, in our Facebook group. Old school telephone is also good too. We're Kandi Lee, 111 Network. You can find us on our website, 111network.com, or Kandi Lee or 111 Network on Insta or Facebook.
Okay.
DM me, all the things. We're everywhere.
Cat photos? I can DM you.
Cat photos. Oh my God. Just don't do feet photos, because that's just a whole nother thing. But yeah.
No. Just cat photos.
Cat photos, and we have dogs, so we can do dog photos. Yes.
Okay. It's all good. And then what is your favorite one? Do you prefer phone, or do you prefer Facebook? Or?
Facebook is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always ask because a lot of people like to contact me via email, and I don't like email. Like I will resist.
You'll resist. Well, it's just so many emails. So yeah, Facebook or DM is probably the best.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you guys? What can I do for you? We have 30 seconds.
I totally want to connect with you afterwards, just not today because I have more inspection reports to read over. But
okay, cool. Well, thank you guys.
I would love to stay in touch as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
So then, is there anything that you want to leave people with, just as a final comments?
I guess the final comments would be that we all have an internal GPS, and in case you didn't know that, now you know, and don't let that scare you, and that there is a way to get whatever you want. I guess that's just the message, is you can have whatever you want. You don't have to have it all figured out. And if you would like to get some support in that, we'd be happy to do that. We have lots of ways to be inside of our world, but just we're a living, breathing example that it's possible. And if we can, you can.
So breathe into the Barfalicious.
Breathe into the Barfalicious. I love it. We have a new tagline.
So
I don't know if you put that like out anywhere, but I love it. Breathe into the Barfalicious. It'll be in our inner circle. Yeah, like, why not? Just go for it, because everything that you want wants you.
Yep. I'm gonna breathe that in. Let that sink in. Body that.
Breathe in your Barfalicious.
Yep. Blah. Okay.
Okay.
This has been an absolute delight.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Oh,
Thank you, Kandi.
Bye,
Bye.
Kandi. Oh, okay. There we go. Shannon. Whew. Okay. Yep. Breathe into the Barfalicious. Take a moment just to kind of process the day. Is there anything that stood out to you that really spoke to you today? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. There were takeaways from each of the speakers. Absolutely. I took notes, and there's so much to reflect on and digest, and get back in touch and just see where it takes me personally and what connections I can draw between what people I know in my network and circle are needing, and how I can maybe allow who we interviewed today to amplify their message further by making more connections.
Yep. I really like to highlight the patterns. So I noticed a lot of patterns around self-awareness, a lot of patterns around, before we even started asking about people's gifts, it just kind of came out in that idea of our beingness again,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, we have these skills. Yeah, we have this area of expertise or this niche, but our beingness and our magic of who we are amplifies all of that. So I loved hearing about different people's superpowers.
And their sources of inspiration.
That too.
The
I
impact
love that
people
question.
have. Mm-hmm.
That was a great question. I may have to take. Do you mind if I use that tomorrow?
Not at all. Please do.
Awesome. So I want to thank everyone for joining us live or on the replay, either or. #Barfalicious. We are going to be back tomorrow for day 2 of Blue Talk's Amplify Your Message with a new co-host. And no, I didn't look up who it is. It's somebody, but somebody amazing, because we're surrounded by amazing people like you, Shannon. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for being engaged. And thank our listeners for being engaged as well. Tomorrow, I want to pick it up a notch and kind of do a little bit more of that engagement, asking people, what is something that we can do together to practice the types of things that they're talking about? So that'll be our area of play tomorrow. It is 10 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. For me, that's 11 a.m. till 2. So it is the middle of the afternoon. I haven't had lunch. I want to say much love to everyone. Thanks again, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah! Bye. And broadcast. Click in.